All right, we are live. Okay, well, we've got over 400 people already in the waiting room, so that's good. That means everyone in the WhatsApp group was paying attention to me. Welcome in, everyone. We'll give obviously everyone a minute to get in and get comfortable. And obviously, Jesus, okay, I can see a lot of people joining thick and fast now. Welcome in, Dan, Darren, Hannah, Heather. Welcome in. Right, I'm going to get rid of this. Okay, right. I'm going to get my screen up, go through some housekeeping, and then we will get started. So, like I was saying to the guys in the WhatsApp earlier, obviously this is a very, very busy event tonight. We've had over 2,500 people register for this evening's event, which is just absolutely incredible and something I'm really, really excited about. So you should all be excited too, because you're going to be a part of something really, really cool this evening. So that's exciting. All right, let me get my screen up, share that. Cool. And then let me get this all up and running. And then we will get started. First person to post in the chat that they can hear me and see my screen okay gets brownie points. Thank you, Dave. And Summer, amazing. Thank you. All good. Good to see you all paying attention. Right, like I said, welcome in. I'm just going to send the link out before we get started, just in case anyone is having trouble and needs that. So there's that, so people know what they're doing. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Brian. Nice to see you. Bit of housekeeping. Like I mentioned, we've had over 2,500 people register for this evening's event. So it is going to be a very, very busy event. And it's something I'm really, really excited about. I cannot wait to share with you what is inside this event this evening. But obviously, because of that, what I'm going to be doing is kind of managing the chat as best I can. So during parts of the presentation where I'm going over really particularly important elements of the process that you've all come to learn about, I will be pausing the chat so that you can pay attention to it, essentially. And then whilst we're going through the whole event, through the whole time, the Q&A will be live throughout the whole thing. So if you do have questions, please use the Q&A, but please only use the Q&A for questions. That's important so that at the end of the presentation, when I'm going through the Q&A, I can find my way through to the questions. I will go through as many of those as I can, but as you can appreciate in the time that we've got, even if only all of you only ask one question, I'm not going to be able to get through over 2,000 of those. So I will answer the questions that I see being asked most frequently. And that way I know I'm helping the most people. So please don't think I'm ignoring you if I don't answer your question directly. I will get to as many as I can. With that, obviously, be patient with one another in the chat, be kind to one another in the chat, as well as to me. Any kind of obviously unkindness and you'll just be removed. So don't be that person. And like I said, use the Q&A for questions. First and foremost, welcome in everyone. Like I said, we're already at over 1,000 people across the two platforms that we are hosting this on. I am so excited to be presenting to you this evening. I'm just going to get this sorted. 2 seconds. Right. There we go. Cool. Welcome in. I'm buzzing. I'm so excited for this. And genuinely, you should be excited too, because this is the first day of your journey towards financial peace of mind and a comfortable earlier retirement than you ever thought was previously possible for you. If you take action, of course, right? If you want it to be, because if you take action on what I teach you and tell you to do today, it will be the start of that journey. But if you don't, then things will just stay the same, right? The circumstances that you weren't happy about, which led you to want to join the event in the first place, will not improve if you do nothing. I know that goes without saying. So please do take some form of action off of the back of this. In fact, I added this in last minute, kind of ad lib, so hopefully this works out okay. But I did this. I wanted to show you just how close you could be to having the financial security, control, and peace of mind that you're probably looking for. So this is James's story, okay? James attended one of the last events we hosted a couple of years ago, back in 2024, in July 2024, you can see there. James was 46 when he watched this event. He had no retirement plan, no idea how to build one, and he thought he was destined to retire into poverty. That was his words. He watched a similar event to what you're watching right now, another one of my last events, claimed the same gift you're going to get the opportunity to claim. And then he decided, actually, do you know what? I want to work directly with you to speed up the process. The next day, he had this brief moment of thinking, have I done the right thing? Right, which is absolutely fair enough. And fortunately for me, what he was met with was just a bunch of replies from people letting him know how much it was going to change his life, because that's the experience they had had with it. And within 6 weeks of watching that event, so the place you're at right now, within 6 weeks of joining that event, this 46-year-old chap, and now a good friend of mine, who thought he was destined to retire into poverty in his late 60s, if he was lucky, had a money management system in place, which had made him £600 a month better off. He had wiped out 90% of the debt that he had already just after 6 weeks, had a 3-month emergency fund in place, and an investment plan and strategy that has him set to be able to retire comfortably at the age of 61. So from thinking he was going to retire into poverty at 67, if he was lucky, to retiring comfortably at 61 in the space of 6 weeks. Can you imagine what that does for your mindset, for your peace of mind, for your just overall mental well-being? That's how close you could be, 6 weeks. And I actually just wanted to show you quickly what he had to say about living through that, because I think it's important that you hear from someone other than me about this, because you might relate to his circumstances, or maybe just the place he was in before versus where he's at now. So here's what he had to say about getting, basically hearing from someone who's been sat where you are right now.
When you joined, as many people are, right, you were skeptical, and I, as I said to you, right, I encourage people to be skeptical, because there's some crazy people on the internet that will try and steal money from people. Unfortunately, I shouldn't laugh; it's terrible. But and when you joined, you had a moment of like, have I done the right thing? Is this all legit? Like, is this going to work out? So I suppose I wanted to ask that question for you specifically. What would you say to anyone who's maybe like having those thoughts and wonders if this is legit and that kind of thing, like, and is on the fence, but maybe doesn't want to take that leap because they're worried about that kind of risk?
Well, I can only say from my end, it is 100% legitimate. And like you say, when I signed up, but in all honesty, Joe, when I signed up, I pretty much wiped out the one bit of contingency I had, and as I've been telling my girlfriend and my friend and whatever, honestly, I already feel like it's the best money I've ever spent.
Love it. So it was worth it then?
Really worth it.
Amazing. I'm glad to hear it.
So, as you know, today I'm going to be teaching you how to secure your current and future finances, how to build wealth on autopilot, and set yourself up to be able to retire ASAP to do what you want with your life. And using the same system that I put in place for James, and at this point over 330 other people, this is all possible with just 15 minutes of your time per week and no prior investing experience required. So let's see who is paying attention already and who we've got with us. Drop a yes in the chat if you want to learn how that system works. And I will test you again later on. Duncan, Fazia, Scar, Gemma, I can't even keep up. Ali, Lee, Denise, Sarah, Tony, Kamel. I literally can't keep up. Okay, amazing. It's good to see you're paying attention already. Like I said, I'll test you again in 10 minutes and we'll see who we've still got. So I'm going to dive in right now. I'll pause the chat in a second, but just to remind you though, there is going to be a gift for a select few of you who watch until the very end of this event, which is now worth £600. Okay, it was originally worth 300. We've added more to it due to the fact that so many people have now signed up, and therefore it is now worth £600. And also, this is new for those of you who aren't in the WhatsApp group, a limited number of you are going to be offered an exclusive opportunity as well. So everyone who claims that gift is getting an exclusive opportunity, which is worth over £2,000. So really, if you are serious about drastically improving your finances and your future wealth potential, stick with this, because like I say, it's going to make this day the day that you started your journey to financial freedom and financial peace of mind. So let's get into it. In this webinar, I'm going to be teaching you how to truly take control of your finances. I'm going to show you the tools, the processes, and the systems that will enable you to save and invest more, become debt-free faster, and how to set yourself up for a more comfortable and earlier retirement than you ever thought was possible for you previously. But you might be thinking, that's great, but who are you and why are you teaching me this? Right? It's a totally fair question. So let me answer that. It's very, very simple. On the who am I question, really simply put, I am a husband and a father who really I just wanted more for me and my family. And about 7 years ago now, decided enough was enough. I wanted more for me and my family financially and our future. So I started doing what I could to secure our finances, to pay off our debt and figure out how to build some kind of wealth for our future and also our daughter's future, right? And what I did is I just began documenting my journey and my findings, the things that were working and the things that weren't along the way. Did that via a blog. I started doing that then on social media. The interest became a hobby. The hobby became an absolute obsession as it improved our lives and made us wealthier, enabled us to unlock our wealth potential. And that obsession has now become a business, which has over 160 odd thousand followers across multiple platforms, all ID verified, as you can see there as well, which I now use to transform other people's lives. So I did a count at the start of this. We've had about 356 people who have come through my program, and 100% of them are now better off, more financially secure, and set up for a more comfortable and early retirement than they previously thought was possible for them before having completed it. So why am I teaching you how to secure your own finances and build a financially secure future? The answer to that is really, really simple as well. It's because I feel like I've been where many of you are, right? Obviously, that's really easy to say, and maybe not with the same exact financial circumstances, because those vary significantly, but definitely with the same financial concerns and stresses and anxieties that you're probably feeling. And also the same goals, right? The same desires for your future and your family's financial security. But I suppose, like you, just not having a clue about what to do, where to begin, or maybe just how to get yourself out of the hole that you might feel like you're starting from. Now, I'm very glad to report, obviously, I've figured it out, right? I escaped my 9 to 5 at the age of 32. I'm on track to hit millionaire status in the next 2 years. So before I turn 37, my wife fully retired from work at the age of 33, and we will both reach financial independence and be completely work optional at the age of 40. And I'm not saying any of that to brag, right, by the way. I'm saying that because I'm nothing extraordinary. I've just been doing this now for 9 years, and most people just never got started with this stuff. So I therefore know for a fact that all of you can drastically improve your current circumstances and your future prospects by just taking action on the system that I'm going to be teaching you in just a little while. I suppose if I was to put it in a nutshell, I'm stood here teaching you this system today because this is everything I wish I had at the start of my journey. And it's a really nice, fortunate position for me to be in now to be able to pass that on. Talking of starting, though, that's probably the first hurdle, right? Where the hell do you actually start? And unfortunately, that is the first hurdle most people fall at. It's like 99% of people fail by simply just never actually getting started, all because they feel stuck, just completely stuck spinning the wheels. And that was my exact issue. So tell me, right, put a yes in the chat if any of what I'm about to tell you sounds familiar. I knew I needed to do something. So I was following, multiple different social media accounts. I was watching YouTube videos on my lunch break, listening to podcasts on my way to work. And I see all people are already saying yes, listening to podcasts on my way home from work. But all I got from this was a just utter bombardment of information every day, getting like 20 different and often conflicting opinions on what you should be doing with your money, which means you do nothing. You do nothing because you're scared of doing the wrong thing for you, and it's sending you further behind than you already are, right? It's analysis paralysis, information overload, Steve. Exactly. And as much as I'm glad that you all relate, I'm not, because I know it's a crappy situation to be in. It's not a nice feeling like you're spinning your wheels and you don't really know what the way out is. But I am glad that you all relate because it means you're in the right place. And it also means you now have the opportunity to end that feeling. So that's really, really exciting. What I realized was that magic pill or formula that I was looking for when I was getting started that would miraculously fix my specific problems or show me what I needed to do just never fell in my lap. I think I was under the illusion that one day I'd come across a YouTube video that answered all of my questions and built me a financial plan for my whole future, right? And I quickly realized that's probably not realistic. I'm probably I'm probably a bit delusional. So fortunately, I realized that early on, that magic pill just simply didn't exist and that I had to create it for myself. But doing so took me 2 years, 16 books, over 180 hours of YouTube videos I still have saved in my playlists, 122 podcast episodes, and over £7,000 in courses and mentors for me to be able to just understand the basic rules, processes, and systems I was going to implement, the different investing and tax strategies I could take advantage of, and to begin building the tools that I needed, right? And that was just to be able to get started. So it's taken another 7 years of trial, error, blood, sweat, and tears, and non-stop application to get this system and these tools to where they are today. And that's something I really want to emphasize here is like, this isn't something, what I'm teaching you today, this isn't something that I did once many years ago that might not be relevant or might not work now. And I didn't come from money, very, very far from it, council estate upbringing. And I've never worked in any kind of like six-figure role at some, bank management or invest. I've never been like an investment banker, like you see a lot of financial influencers or ex-investment banker now tries to tell normal people how to manage their money as if they have a clue what it's like, right? So I've never been in any kind of out of touch money role. I've built this from the ground up as someone who struggled, who now does not. This is the stuff that I'm teaching here is the stuff that worked for me, still works for me now as I'm building my wealth up to a point where I never thought it would be, and is also working for the hundreds of other people who are applying this exact system as we speak in my program. I suppose what I'm trying to say is I'm in the trenches with you all now, with all my students, with all of you, still implementing this system, still implementing this stuff, and using and improving this system and these tools that I'm showing you today so that you can continue to benefit from them as well. I suppose, again, in a nutshell, what I've done is I've taken the process I ended up following, eliminated the guesswork, the costly mistakes, and the setbacks that I had to endure along the way that wasted years of my progress. And I've now combined this with 9 years of knowledge and experience, applying this with over 350 odd students. And I've created a simple, structured system that you can take advantage of today on day one of your journey. Just pick it up and run with it, right? If you take action today. Now, before I tell you exactly how it works, I want to show you what kind of results you can actually expect to get when you implement it. So you know that it's actually going to be worth your time listening to this. I think that's really, really important. So these on here, on this slide, are the average results, the averages, not the outliers, not the extremes, the averages of those who've implemented the system themselves. So on average, our students are better off to the tune of £1,700 per month. They are cutting £23,000 off of the interest that they owe their creditors. So for their debts, they're saving 23 grand in interest. They're therefore becoming debt-free 10 years faster on average. They are set to retire 15 years earlier. And per person on average, they are saving £468,000 in advisor and investing fees over their investing lifetime, which is just insane. There's a number that I look at and I still have to double check every now and again. But ultimately what the system does is it puts more money in your pocket today and in the future. So you can see just from that bottom result there, how many years worth of expenses that might be for the average person and why we are therefore able to help them retire so much earlier. Because that's just one element of what we help people with. You've then got all of those other elements as well. So you can see the power of this, right? And the thing is what you've got to realize is those people all started from similar circumstances to you and I. And I know that because those are all people who have watched previous events of mine, which you're watching now, right? So it's kind of as simple as that. Like, as I mentioned earlier, if I haven't been where you are right now, then I have helped someone who has been in a similar set of circumstances to you. And this system that I'm going to teach you in a second has made all of those people better off than they were previously. When it really comes down to brass tacks, it's kind of as simple as that. Those on a low income and unsure how to build any kind of wealth, those on a good income but feeling like they had nothing to show for it in terms of financial success and well-being and confidence in their future, those feeling stuck in a cycle of debts with just no idea how to escape them, and those who have no plan for their retirement and their future, who really just want an alternative to the prospect of working until they are maybe in their 70s or older. Okay, like whether our students started in their 20s or their 60s, which is literally the actual age range of our students, all of them are now set to be able to retire earlier than they thought was possible with more income than they thought they would have. And on that final point, actually, just to kind of give you a bit of backstory about me, on that final point about facing the prospect of working until you are 70 or older, that's actually what initially kickstarted this whole journey for me. So what kickstarted it for me was when I received a letter from my workplace pension provider when I was 24, okay, telling me that I was going to have to work until I was 82 if I wanted a modest 20K a year income in retirement, right? So that was 24-year-old me being told I was going to have to work for another, 58 years. Absolutely not. So obviously when I saw that, I freaked out. I thought, what any normal person would think, how is this possible? I need to talk to a professional, maybe an expert can help me, because I wasn't one at the time. So I had a chat with a pension advisor at work, and what he told me, it kind of just confirmed that I had absolutely no chance of retiring early for sure, or having the life and future I wanted if I just blindly followed the path that, the system wanted me to follow, especially if I depended at all on advisors to help me. They're not out for you, sorry to say it, or the government to support me. Again, not on your side, right? And this is sadly what 99% of people are doing. They're putting those trusts in those two groups of people through no fault of their own, through no fault of your own, by the way, simply because we are not educated on how to properly manage our money, invest, avoid debt, and plan for retirement, right? The least they could do is teach us how these things called workplace pensions work that we were all given when we we're thrust out into the workforce, right? And how to optimize them for the goals that we have. And they don't even do that. It is absolutely criminal, if you ask me. But unfortunately, what I've come to realize is the knowledge, structure, and tools you need to achieve your full financial potential are not readily available for free. And because of this, most people just make a mess of their finances and just get stuck working into later life, full of anxiety and the fear of retiring into poverty, or maybe even just like a small financial blip leading to financial hardship. The solution that was offered to me by the advisor at work was save more. Right? He wanted me to work up to a 20% pension contribution within the next 5 years. At the time, that was impossible for me. Like I said, I was 24. I was making about 24 grand a year, renting a flat with my then girlfriend, who's now my wife. And obviously, we want to do all the things that a young couple want to do, right? Get married, have children, buy a house, so on and so forth. All the things that are really bloody expensive, right? So life was not getting any cheaper for me anytime soon. So how the hell was I supposed to sacrifice 20% of the salary that was pretty much gone a day after payday anyway? I was like, this is insane. I had two options as I saw it, and this is going to come up for you as well. So pay attention here. Option one, I could keep doing what I was doing, which had obviously got me nowhere, spinning my wheels, burying my head in the sand, keep living paycheck to paycheck, accruing more and more debt for the things society told me I needed, whilst I tried to cobble together the money for a house and a family, only to retire when I was 82 on 20K a year. By the way, life expectancy for males in the UK right now is 79. So it's not looking too great for me. That was option one. Option two, I could invest my time and the money, the little money I had, into learning how to manage and invest my money the right way using time-tested, proven strategies with the goal of escaping my 9 to 5 ASAP, and also just setting myself up to retire any time before 82, right? Was going to be a win. But in all seriousness, the outcome from taking option two, from taking that leap and betting on myself, is I've now wiped 42 years off of my retirement age. And I've escaped my 9 to 5 at the age of 32. And the comparatively small amount I invested to learn how to do this has now paid for itself hundreds, if not thousands of times over already, and will continue to do so. And man, am I glad I invested when I had the chance to do so, because now I have control of my time, of my money, of my future. I have certainty, I've got clarity over where I'm going, and above all, confidence about where I'm headed in life as well, which is something that's really hard to put like a price tag on, but it is just so invaluable. And the thing is that's what you will have. Clarity and confidence is exactly what you will have over your future when you implement this system. All you need is an income and the desire for a better future. And the reason I know that is because that's all anyone has when they come to work with me, an income and a desire for a better future. That's all Naomi had when she found me. She thought, in her words, she was on top of things, and then realized after several years of trying by her own that she really wasn't. She ended up feeling just lost with her finances and the lack of plan she has, but now feels empowered knowing that she has a plan in place to be work optional at 53. Right, on the passive income that we're helping her build. Now she's going to be able to retire 14 years earlier than she ever thought was going to be possible for her. And here's what she had to say about getting that plan in place. And I suppose, really, what made you want to join the program in the first place?
Yeah, so I mean, I always considered myself fairly good at managing my finances and kind of doing everything that everyone tells you to do. So I was contributing to my pension, I was contributing to my ISA, but I had no real concept of how that was going to impact my retirement. And I think at the beginning of 2025, I was I would say a bit lost. I'm 42. I don't want to be working until I'm 67. I'd ideally thought in my head 50, but I genuinely had no idea if that was a pipe dream, if that was achievable. So yeah, I think I also, had no concept about this, FI number and, how you can actually use maths to figure out how you can retire early or what you need in order to retire and live out the rest of your life happily.
So where are you now with those goals after having completed the process?
Well, we've figured out that I can retire, assuming all the assumptions work out, at the latest 53. So that's great news.
How do you feel about your finances now, maybe versus where you're at before?
Well, I'm a bit obsessed with bringing that number down to 50. So there's that, but then also just more confident, more in control, just more clarity on where I'm going and almost, where my monthly pay packet is going and why it's going into these different pots. So yeah, it's definitely given me purpose in terms of my finance. And like I said, for me, it was a very quick process to kind of get to the end goal, which was great.
Yeah. And what would you say to anyone who's maybe considering joining, maybe is on the fence and just maybe hasn't taken the leap yet?
Oh my God, I wish I'd done it earlier.
That's the thing. There's not one person I've met who wishes they had waited just a bit longer. Everyone wishes they had started sooner. The bottom line is, though, is everyone who has implemented this system, everyone who implements this process will benefit from it, right? Whether you are young, old, low income or high income, no debt versus lots of debt, you will end up better off, more financially secure and retiring years earlier than you otherwise would have, with more confidence in your future and hundreds of thousands more in the investment accounts that you maybe don't even have yet, or that just simply aren't working as hard as they could be right now, right? So who is this training actually for? Right. So if you want a solid plan in place for your current and future finances, if you want to learn how to manage and grow your money more effectively, if you want to make sure the money you make is actually going to good use and working as hard for you or harder for you than you work for it, if you want to become debt-free faster than you can imagine, if you want to be able to invest for your family's future as well as your own, if you want to retire when you choose rather than when the government tells you can, and preferably sooner rather than later, and really, if you just want to be in control of your life, putting everything else aside, if you just want to be in control of your finances and your future, then this training is for you. If you are not interested in those things, or you're looking for some kind of like get rich quick scheme, then you've probably come to the wrong event tonight. So do feel free to leave. If, however, you want an actionable guide that you can use to achieve all of this, and everything you've seen Naomi and James achieve, drop a yes in the chat so I can still, for one last time, who's still paying attention? Summer, Kerry, okay, I can't keep up again. James, okay, I can see you're all interested, so this is good. Gemma, yes, yes. Capital X, 100%, 100%. Okay, right. What I'm going to run through now, I'll give a chance for all those yeses to come in. Thank you, Ellie and Gabrielle, and everyone, Roger, Zoltan, thank you. I'm going to run through the financial freedom framework. Okay, I'm going to dive in right now. So please do pay attention, grab a pen and paper, because this is where it really, really begins for you. Okay, what I'm going to run through here, as I mentioned, is the financial freedom framework. This is the unique step-by-step system that eliminates guesswork from money management and investing and helps you build wealth on autopilot. And when I say unique, I really do mean that, because I've built this system from the ground up from over the last 9 years, building every single tool, every single process, every single, step-by-step guide has been built by me from the ground up. This is not something you can get ChatGPT to do. I know, because I've tried to get him to do it to save me some time, and it can't do it, right? So pens at the ready. I'm jumping in right now. Phase 1 of 5 is the baseline phase. In this phase, we are going to determine your current state. This is absolutely key. After all, how will you know how to get to where you want to be if you don't already know where you are right now, right? You need a point A and a point B in order to map the route between those 2 points, especially the most efficient and effective route, right? So you need to have a really clear understanding of exactly where you stand right now. This is all about facing the uncomfortable truths and unearthing the stuff that most people don't want to face, pulling your head out of the sand, staring it in the face and saying, right, judgment aside, where am I at and how do I improve that going forwards? It's what most people don't want to do and why most people don't end up getting as wealthy as they otherwise could, right? We are going to do that. We are going to clarify and refine the goals that you have to the critical few that will actually move the needle rather than trying to spread yourself too thin across 10 different goals and not making any quick progress with any one of them. We're going to identify the things that are going to give you the biggest bang for your buck in the shortest possible time frame. We're going to cut out the waste in your current spending habits and really just ensure that you are prioritizing the expenses and the things you do each month that provide you and your family with not only like a roof over your head and food in the fridge, which is obviously the bare essentials, but actually having money for experiences and happiness and fulfillment, as well as a little bit of fun every now and again, right? That's the important thing here. This is not about living on rice and beans just so you can retire a year earlier, right? There's no point in having a miserable existence now. This is about finding a way for you to live well today to an extent, whilst ensuring you can continue to live well for the rest of your days and helping you find that balance, okay? So it's a living plan that stays updated over time. And finally, in this phase, what we're going to do is we're going to map out the plan for achieving your short and medium term goals. And this is really, really key. So I mean here by what I'm saying is like things like becoming debt free, establishing an emergency fund, that kind of stuff, right? Now, really, really important. The order in which you tackle those short and medium term goals depends entirely on the specific circumstances surrounding those goals. Because if you do things in the wrong order, it will cost you more and delay your progress. So you need to make sure you are building out the most efficient, financially efficient and cost effective route. And the gift I have for you will help with that. Now, one thing I want to make really clear here is how critical this phase is. If I've not made that clear enough already, especially the part around understanding your current state. Now, you need to know what your monthly expenses are today for two distinct reasons. Firstly, so you actually know what free cash flow you have to achieve your short-term goals, i.e. debt elimination, so on and so forth. And secondly, to be able to accurately estimate what your desired lifestyle is going to cost when you are financially free, okay? We call this your FI number or your financial independence number. We have a really simple structured method of ensuring that doing this is as painless and as accurate as possible when we work through the process with the students in my program. And it's all using the same tool that I'm going to show you shortly, but with some additional tabs that you won't see, right? As you can appreciate, they paid good money to have this broken down in fine detail and to have it made as simple and easy to accurately calculate as possible. And it kind of goes without saying, it also helps to have someone like myself who's done it not only for themselves, but 350 other people, right? To help you ensure that it's not only accurate, but actually fully optimized. And that's what they're getting really, right? They are hitting the ground running, immediately collecting all of the low hanging fruit that they often didn't even know was available to them. And I just handed it to them on a plate. And they are eliminating the guesswork, the costly mistakes, the uncertainty, the fear, and the delays that most people face when they try to figure it out for themselves. Now, you need to make a note here. To get a rough idea of your FI number, your financial independence number, what you're going to do is multiply your current monthly expenses by 12 to get your yearly expenses, and then multiply that number by 25 to get your FI number, just like you see with the example on the slide. Now that, as I mentioned, is a rough estimate of the amount of money you need to have saved or invested to never have to work again, because the drawdown you take from it covers your expenses and will continue to grow with exposure to the right passive investments, if you know how to find them, at a rate that is higher than that which you are making withdrawals, okay? That's to ensure that you never run out. This principle is known as the 4% rule, or the SWR, which is the safe withdrawal rate. This safe withdrawal rate, or the SWR, was determined from the Trinity studies conducted by Harvard, okay? So what I've done is I've taken a time-tested, proven strategy developed by the world's leading experts, and I've built a system and a structure around it that allows you to apply all of your pieces of your financial puzzle to make sure it's tying all of that stuff in together. Again, the Academy videos would walk you through my proprietary process for doing this to make sure that the figure you get is not just accurate, We'd also show you how to keep it up to date, right? So we show you how to iterate on this calculation as your circumstances change so that it stays accurate. What that does is it allows you to make small adjustments over time, literally year by year. I mean, 20 to 30 minutes a year, rather than doing what most people would do, which is not look at your numbers for 5 years and then realize it makes no sense anymore and have to start from scratch when you're in a position where you can't remember how to do it, right? So we'll remove all of that guesswork and all of that kind of stress and just show you how to keep it up to date over time with a very, very minimal amount of effort. The videos also walk you through how to run withdrawal illustrations as well. And also a risk assessment to see how long your particular retirement, situation, your strategy would actually last under historical market conditions. Again, it's all using my proprietary retirement forecasting and planning tools. Now, the outcome that you should expect from finishing phase 1 is clarity, kind of as you heard Naomi talk about, right? What this does is it really just shows you exactly where you stand today financially, giving you a level of awareness and control over your finances that you've never experienced before. And it just gives you crystal clear goals that you are 110% committed to achieving. It's a real game changer. Then we move from phase 1 to phase 2. Phase 2 is the push phase. This is where we are going to organize the hell out of your financial life and put you back in control fully. You're going to learn how to implement a zero-based money management system that sounds more complex than it is. It's very, very easy once you've got the right help to get it implemented. What it does is it gives you complete visibility and control over your finances with about 20 to 30 minutes of your time per month. And it helps you build wealth on autopilot because it is a rinse and repeat strategy. Once you've built it once, it's literally rinse and repeat every single month. You're also going to set up the automated tracking of your assets, liabilities, and net worth, and begin executing on your short and medium-term goals on top of that. In parallel to this, you're going to build out the investment plan and strategy you will implement to achieve your retirement goals. And I've got more on this later. You can see there, first and foremost though, at the bottom of that slide, that this phase is where we set up your pillars of personal finance, which I want to tell you about now because you see, I've watched a lot of kind of events and trainings and things from other people who do what I do, and they always leave this out. And the problem is every single good financial plan or roadmap needs to cover all 3 of these pillars. Otherwise, it will fall apart sooner or later. And I'll explain why. So those 3 pillars sound really simple on the face of it, right? Track your money, save your money, invest your money. You might be thinking, well, duh, that's not hard. But there are levels to this game that I know. So stick with me, right? Everything I ever teach you about money will come back to one of those 3 pillars, which is why I really, really thought it was important for you to understand and learn these today. So pillar number 1, let's get into that one. Pillar number 1 is all about tracking your finances. First and foremost, your income versus your outgoings, which is all taken care of in this monthly balance sheet, okay? You input your planned expenses, your income for the beginning of that month, and you track your actual spend against that plan to make sure you are staying on track. There is no point in building a plan if you're not going to track what you actually spent against that plan. And there is no point in just tracking your spending against nothing, right? People are always doing one or the other. Rarely have I met someone doing both. And the amount of extra time it takes to do the one that you're not is so minimal. And the value you get from it is so extraordinarily large. It blows my mind why people are doing this, but it goes to show why we're able to get such good results because we get this in place very, very early on. So it's really, really important you get that done. The thing is as well, like this takes a maximum of about 30 minutes per month, and that's just when you're first setting it up, but it gives you complete awareness and control over what's going on with your money, which when you think about it is really bloody important when you consider that not having control or visibility is the literal root cause of most people's financial problems and the gateway to why people end up in debt, because they're not aware, they're not able to measure, they're not able to see the impact of their financial decisions and what that's going to mean. So then they just suffer from guilt, they end up getting into debt, they can't manage it, it impacts their finances going forwards. And I'm probably relating to a fair amount of you right now, and I know because I've been there, right? So that's just part 1 of tracking your money. You're also going to track your savings and investments over here, your home equity and assets in this one, your debts in this tab here, and all of that information then automatically flows into this final tab, which automatically calculates your net worth for you every single month. And this sounds more simple and straightforward than it is. It's extremely powerful because it's like having a monthly report on the health status of your finances, right? Which is something you are really missing out on if you don't have it, because what it does is it helps you to see the long-term impact of your short-term financial decisions. And what that does, like magic, is just encourages you to make decisions that will push that number up rather than down, because it's only going to make you wealthier. It's just like visual and financial trickery that only benefits you. It's really, really that simple. Now, again, I want to emphasize here just about the simple act of tracking just your monthly spending in that first tab that I showed you alone will do wonders for your financial habits, but tracking it more importantly against a plan, because it will make you more aware in the first instance of how you actually spend your money. And by doing this, you will be able to immediately pinpoint all the bad spending habits and eliminate them. After all, you can't change a bad habit if you don't know you have one. Simple as that. Now, the second pillar is saving money. And again, sounds very, very simple. And saving money, right, is a term I use very, very lightly, because the problem is you cannot save your way to wealth in both of the respects that I'm about to tell you that are on the screen here, right? First and foremost, reducing your expenses by cutting waste from your, outgoings to free up money for you to save, like saving money on your outgoings is one way of saving. But again, you're never going to be able to build wealth that way. And the second one is saving money in a savings account. Again, you cannot save your way to wealth because savings have never kept up with inflation. So starting with that first one, reducing expenses, right? You cannot save your way to wealth this way because it is a zero-sum game, i.e. you can only cut your expenses so much before all you are left with is your essential bills, right? And a very, very miserable existence. So it's not worth doing in the first instance. So don't get me wrong, it's worth reviewing your outgoings to cut the waste, because we can cut that waste. And not only will you not suffer from it, you'll actually directly benefit from it, because you'll suddenly have more money to do the things you've always been wondering why you've never had the money to do before. So you'll now have that. And that's exactly what we see with people. And secondly, the act of saving money in a savings account. Now, again, you cannot save your way to wealth this way because savings have never kept up with inflation throughout all of history. So there are, with that said, very few justifications for you using a savings account for any spare cash you have versus investing that money responsibly for the long term. Very, very clear distinction there. Now, a couple of examples why you might save instead of invest would be for an emergency fund, down payment deposit for a house, maybe savings for a wedding, right? Anything you want liquid and accessible immediately in the next kind of couple of years or so. That's stuff that you don't want set, subject to the volatility of the markets. In those examples, what you need to do is just make full use of the best HYSAs, so high yield savings accounts that you can find to keep inflation at bay. Otherwise, your money is devaluing at a rate of around 3 to 5% per year. So it's amazing to me how many people come into my program who have thousands, sometimes tens, even hundreds of thousands if they had like an inheritance or a divorce settlement or something like that. And it's sat in an account earning maybe 0.5, maybe 1.5%. And I'm like, we need to get to work now. It's wild, because we can immediately, literally with a few clicks of a button, get that working for them at anything up to about 6% right now, without even having it invested. That's purely just through knowing what savings accounts they can get access to. So that's the difference when you're working with someone who's got an ear to the ground and knows this stuff. Okay, so that's pillar number 2. Again, you cannot save your way to wealth, but there's certain things you do need to save for. Then we have pillar number 3. Now, pillar number 3 is investing. Undoubtedly the most powerful part of all of this. However, do not contemplate putting even a penny into the stock market or any other asset for that matter until you have a solid grip on your monthly finances with a good money management system in place, debt freedom, and an emergency fund. Okay, you need the money management system so you know how much you are actually able to invest and have maximized this figure as much as possible at the start of every month. There is no point in just saying, I'm going to invest X £100 per month. Then what? Okay, is that enough? Do you know if that's going to get you to a defined end goal? Have you worked out what that defined end goal is? What if you can't afford to do that this month coming because you've got 5 other events going on in your life and you're going to leave yourself short? What if you could actually afford to do more than that, but you haven't measured your finances and therefore you don't know, and could actually get to your goal that you haven't even measured a lot sooner? You can see how that's not optimal, right? So you need a money management system first. You also need debt freedom, because there is 0 point in investing for maybe an 8-9% ROI when you're paying 29% interest on your credit card debt, right? That math isn't mathing. You need to get your credit card paid off before you start investing, and any other kind of short-term high interest debt. And finally, third part of this is an emergency fund. You need to have an emergency fund so that you are never put in a position where you need to sell off a part or maybe even all of your portfolio to cover an unexpected emergency, because doing so will put your compounding in reverse, completely throw you off track from achieving your goals, and just leave you not wanting to start again. That's not a position you want to be in. So you need to get all three of those elements in place. Anyone who tells you otherwise does not have your best interests at heart. Anyone who tells you should be investing in any way, shape, or form before doing these three things is going to benefit more from you starting to invest now than you will, probably because they're trying to sell you some kind of investment product or vehicle, right? So once you have these pillars in place, then you can determine your investing strategy. And that is going to depend on your goals, your risk tolerance, and your time horizon. And that is why every single person I work one-on-one with gets an investment plan and strategy tailored and built to them and their circumstances, along with the education they need to give them the confidence they need to actually go and implement it, so they understand it and they're basically just making these decisions for themselves, because there is no one size fits all when it comes to investing. And I think that's why that's really important. So bottom line is, you need to know how to build a portfolio, first of all, and select a buying and rebalancing strategy that's suitable for you. If you are unsure how to do those things, I'm going to give you the opportunity to equip yourself with that knowledge later with your gift. Okay. For now, I want you to ask yourself, okay, a couple of things actually. Do you have money sitting in an account right now, not invested, doing nothing and earning naff all interest because you don't know how to invest it in line with your goals because you don't know what they are? Or maybe you're scared that you'll do the wrong thing and you'll lose money, or maybe money you don't need right now that could be put to use, even if it's just a little bit, right? So I see Antoinette say that, there's a little bit, but not much, and that's fine. Maybe this one then. Do you have investments that aren't working as hard as you'd like them to, but you're unsure of the best alternatives that are low maintenance and also won't keep you awake at night? It's all good and well buying that thing that your mate said to buy, right? But if you don't understand it and it's going to keep you up in cold sweats or hot sweats, then it's not a strategy you're going to stick to, and therefore not something you're going to be able to, right? It's just not going to work. And I do want you to answer this in the chat if you haven't yet, right? So this question I think is really important. So listen to this, okay? Do you think you would waste less money each month if you had a solid investment plan tied to a specific goal, which gave you clarity over how much you needed to invest at the start of each month? Yes, Cheryl, I need a plan. Exactly, right? Yes. Exactly. And it sounds really, really simple. Basically, would you waste less money if at the start of the month you knew how much you needed to put away before your money went anywhere else in order to achieve a defined end goal? Obviously you would. Then why haven't you done it yet? Right? It's kind of as simple as that, isn't it? And that's where people go, oh yeah, I suppose that's what I've been missing. And this is where we come in, right? Because ultimately, and I mean this, if you answered yes to any of those questions, then you are falling behind, because that money that you are not investing is money we could be using to buy back your time in the future. The bottom line is, if you have no plan, or even just kind of a plan, and you're not investing optimally, and I mean really, really optimally, your money is devaluing at an alarming rate, and your freedom is just slipping further and further away than it could otherwise be. And that's just a sad situation that I don't want for anyone. So just think about that for a second and take the appropriate action when you get the chance, okay? So those are those pillars covered, and hopefully you can appreciate me going through those. The outcome from phase 2, as you can imagine, is visibility and control, giving you an understanding of how you are now going to turn your situation around and achieve your goals, as well as exactly how long it's going to take. And that is the game changer. Being able to look forward and have that level of clarity on your future is something very, very few people can do. It's a nice position to be in, I can tell you firsthand. Phase 3 is where we take the wins and the successes from those first 2 phases and we scale. In phase 3, you're going to eliminate all of your debt. not always your mortgage at this point, or often doesn't make sense, but we go over each of these circumstances on a case-by-case basis to determine if there is anything worth doing there. For most people, it's just short-term high interest debt, if that's applicable for you. If that's not applicable for you, we go straight to the emergency fund. If it is, we do debt and then emergency fund. Okay. On the emergency fund piece, really, really clear, straightforward, but very optimal system that I run with each person. We do a kind of a risk assessment of their specific life circumstances. We determine the fixed costs, work out how much worth of emergency fund they're going to need, determine the amount and agree that with them, and then look at what they already have. If we need to build a plan to bridge a gap between what they have and what they need, then we'll do that and we'll build that plan. We'll give them a timeline and show them when it's going to be possible to achieve that goal based on our understanding of their monthly finances. If there's a difference between, what they have and what they need and what they have, and there's a surplus to put away, then we'll also get a plan in place for putting that to work and make sure it's lumped in with the financial freedom goal to ensure that that's working as hard as possible for them and they don't have like excess cash just sat there wasting away, right? So really, really important aspects there. Also, we're going to automate all of your payments, contributions, and finance tracking processes as part of this as well, and begin executing on your investment plan and strategy for retirement and financial freedom. So this is where it gets really, really fun, and you start seeing how to build up for your future and starting to make that happen. It's very, very exciting times. So the outcome for this phase, as I kind of alluded to, is empowerment. You're seeing like the power of what your wealth potential being unlocked now. And you're recognizing that wealth potential and also understanding the steps and timeline that it's going to take to actually achieve it. So really, really game-changing stuff. Then we get to phase 4, and this is the momentum phase. So as its name suggests, this is where we take all of the momentum that we built up from the previous 3 phases and we just keep it going, right? The hard work at this point is 99% done. Like I said, it's just rinse and repeat on autopilot now. So it's just a case of watching your fortune build because you've done all the right stuff. You've knocked out all the stuff that was holding you back. And now it's just about building for the future. You will have 0 debt at this point, sometimes including a mortgage, but again, for most people, still not, because it's not financially optimal for most people. You'll have been executing on your investment strategy and also scaling your contributions and returns. Your savings rate by this point will be topping about 40%. Now, if when I got started, someone had told me that I'd ever be saving 40% of my income, I'd have laughed and walked away. My savings rate when I got started was 2%. For the last 6-7 months, it's topped 60%. So, and like I said, I've been doing this for 9 years. So take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, you're not going to be there until you've been doing this for a period of time, right? You might get there faster than me. It might take a little bit longer. Everyone's circumstances are different, but just stick with it and magical things will happen. The outcome from phase 4 is unstoppable momentum, as you can imagine. Financial freedom by now is just an inevitability, and you are on the cusp of complete time and location and financial freedom. And then we hit the ultimate phase, which is the freedom phase. Now, again, by this point, you will be completely debt-free, normally including your home at this point, okay? You'll be financially free and no longer dependent on anyone or any employer because your passive income will be taking care of all of your financial needs. And because you are normally mortgage-free or very close to it at this point, with a high 6 to 7 figure, sometimes multi-7 figure portfolio, you'll have a net worth of easily over $1 million, maybe 1 to 3 million is what we see most people are forecasted to end up with, sometimes a bit more than that. And again, if someone had told me at the start of my journey that I'd be a millionaire coming from my background, again, I'd have laughed and walked away. But like I said, I'm now 35, and before I turn 37, I'm forecasted to hit over $1 million in net worth. So again, doing this 9 years, some people might get there earlier, some people might get there a bit later, but it's possible if you stick with the plan. The outcome from phase 5 is FU money, right? The freedom to do what you want, when you want, for as long as you want, without ever having to ask for permission. Just magic. Turns out the kind of secret formula for financial freedom or building wealth or becoming wealthy that you've been looking for is actually incredibly simple. A tailored plan plus consistency multiplied by patience, as I've alluded to a lot, right? If you consistently save, track, and invest your money against a tailored plan built around this system and have patience for 5, 10 plus years, it's impossible that you fail to hit your financial goals or at the very least drastically improve your financial circumstances. People only fail when they start to save and invest without having their pillars or a solid structured financial roadmap in place. And because they don't have the clear goals and milestones that keep them on track from that roadmap, and without the direction and clarity and conviction that comes from having those goals and those milestones, they've got no drive, they've got no focus, and they take money out of their savings or their investments to do something stupid, and they kill their progress. That's why most plans fall apart, because they don't have their 3 pillars in place. And that is the worst thing you can do. So don't be that person. Follow this process, stick to it every month, and one day you will check your portfolio only to realize you've hit your FI number and you never have to work again. You can hand in your notice to your boss, watch their jaw hit the floor, and live freely. Right now, I know some of you will be thinking, "This sounds great. Does this really work, though? Will it work for me? Do I have enough money to achieve these things?" And the answer to all 3 of those questions is yes. Everyone can improve their finances and their future prospects with this process. And I know this because I've seen all 350 plus of the people I've worked with who have applied it do exactly that. And it doesn't get any more simple, right? The average student, just to run some numbers here, just to kind of show you, let's go like some conservative figures, okay? The average student, like I said, right now saves and is able to save and invest an extra £1,700 a month after working with us. The worst case, after 12 months of action of working with us, is about £1,000 a month more flowing into their investment accounts, workplace pensions and stocks and shares, ISAs, and so on. So let's say that you get the worst case, £1,000 a month more going into these things after 12 months of working with us. And let's say from the point you're starting at now, you've got 10K and that's it. Most people probably have a lot more than that if you've been paying into any kind of workplace pension for any amount of your career. But let's say flat, 10K for argument's sake, and an extra £1,000 a month is what you end up with as a part of completing this system. After just 15 years, that would have compounded to be worth £473,000. Not bad, right? I've just made you nearly £500,000 richer than you otherwise would have been. So money well spent. But leave your money there for another 10 years and you'll have amassed over £1.4 million. Okay. And you're starting to see the power of compounding and why it's better to get started sooner rather than later, because the clock really is ticking when it comes to compound interest. Because after 30 years, that 1K a month investment will be worth a whopping 2.4 million. Okay. So just to recap, you could save an extra £1,000 a month as part of this process, right? And invest that money using a simple set and forget investment plan and strategy that I'll teach you. And you could accrue potentially up to 2.4 million. That's crazy, right? But what if you already have your money invested with a platform, and maybe you've already got your money invested with a money manager or managing it for you, right? Well, let's assume that they get the same rate of return as the funds that we use. And also, you can Google this, statistically speaking, 70%, nearly 3/4 of them fail to even match the performance of these. And that's before fees, right? But assuming they can, let's just do apples to apples. Let's assume that they're really, really good at what they do and they match the performance of these funds. If you're paying a combined 1.5% management fund and platform charge fee, using the numbers we've used in this illustration, you will end up with £562,000 less in your pocket by continuing to make the mistake of using that money manager. Use this system instead, and based on this illustration and these numbers, you'll potentially have £562,000 more in your pocket that didn't go to lining their pocket via the fees that they are charging you. Okay, that's more money in your pocket for your retirement. It's a no-brainer in my opinion. But do you want to know the crazy part as well? This is like the worst case scenario for a lot of people, because like I said, most people are starting with a lot more than 10K and are already making regular payments into a pension or an investment account of some kind. Not everyone, but most people are. And secondly, when you follow this system, we don't only look at your investments like a traditional financial advisor or money manager would do. We ensure that every single aspect of your finances are fully optimized, meaning that your expenses are optimized and remain very stable and very, very similar, right? As your income increases, and as that happens, your cash flow increases consistently, your contributions to your workplace pension increase, you gain additional tax relief because of that via our account structuring and optimization methods, which means more money flowing into your accounts at actually no extra cost to you. Your monthly free cash flow that you can put towards your personal investments outside of pensions also grows. And before you know it, you're contributing way more than you ever thought you would or could. So you'll likely achieve way more than this if you have the right plan and start today. Now, obviously, I've made sure that all of my one-on-one students are in a position to take full advantage of this compounding effect. It's my job to do so, right? And that they have a fully optimized plan with as much free cash flow as possible to pump into this money multiplying phenomenon. Because the earlier you start and the more you have, the more your money will grow and the faster it will grow. It's literally just basic maths. In fact, I want to tell, because I know a lot of people, there's probably questions. I've seen a couple of them come up in the chat. Please post your questions in the Q&A if you didn't hear me earlier. But I know a lot of you will be thinking, okay, well, I'm already in my maybe like my 40s or my 50s or maybe even my 60s. Like, is this still going to work for me? I want to tell you about one of my students who thought he was getting started at the age of 49. Okay, so take that with a grain of salt. You might be a bit older, a bit younger. Take this as it comes. Okay. But he started using my strategies at 49. Neil also started with a substantial amount of credit card debt and a rental with a really, really heavy mortgage. Okay. By restructuring things and putting a plan in place, we were able to save him £110,000 just in interest on his debts and wipe 9 years off of his retirement age, despite starting at the age of 49. So take that, as a marker of where you are right now, and use that to gauge kind of where you might end up. Here's what Neil had to say about it.
I mean, I think what I would say is, having come into this at 49 without a plan to get to 60, which is my retirement age in my head, it's helped me with that. I mean, if I was coming into this plan, a bit into the academy, as a younger man or woman, I think it's incredibly powerful. I mean, I think I'd probably be retired already if I came in. If I came into this when I was 29, I think I'd already have a plan to retire at my age now, right? So, yeah. But even having come to it late, I suppose the point I'd make, even having come to it quite late in the party, is that I can still see an enormous benefit, and it's 100% worth the investment. And I think your style, Joe, is very friendly, and there's no such thing as a stupid question. We all are quite open with each other. We've all made mistakes, and financially or otherwise in the past, and it's quite an open forum. We talk openly, and I think it's very, very helpful. I think anyone would be doing themselves a big favor to join. Honestly, I think it's very powerful.
So if this incredibly powerful and simple process, as Neil put it, is all it takes, right? That's what I'm saying. Then why isn't everyone doing this and able to retire earlier, right? Why is it that the fastest growing age group in the workforce right now is those aged 65 to 75? And it's very, very simple. It's because you simply haven't been given all of this information and the education on the stuff that actually matters and this proven structured process for achieving your goals until now. And once this is in place, again, you'll have clarity over the finances that you have today and in the future, and also the steps that you need to take to achieve the future that you want. And that clarity and process gives you the confidence you need to make good, informed financial and investment decisions, because you'll know that they are going to drive you closer to your specific, clearly defined end goal. And this is what allows you to begin looking forward on your future with certainty and clarity and excitement, rather than uncertainty and fear and dread, which is what most people feel. So you think how nice that is of a position to be in. The bottom line is, until you follow a structured system like this, you're not going to make the progress you want to see, because you have lives and families and hobbies to be getting on with. You don't have the time to figure this out for yourselves. Otherwise, you would have done it by now. So just follow this strategy, stay disciplined, and don't do anything stupid. That's what Reese did. Okay. Reese found me at 28. He earned good money, but him and his wife found themselves living paycheck to paycheck, stressed about money, tens of thousands of pounds in debt, and living, him and his partner, with their 3 boys with his dad for what they thought was going to be 3 years before they'd be able to buy their first house. And best case, also, they thought maybe they'd be able to retire around 68. After just 8 weeks of working through the system, using the tools, and with my help, they are now £2.5 grand a month better off than they were before. no longer stressed about opening their online banking app because they know what they're going to see now. They've paid off 90% of their debt and saved 4 grand in interest just by moving things around that they just never thought was possible or that they could do before, thanks to my help. But one of the biggest wins is that by doing all of this and having me optimize the plan for them that we put in place, it's now only going to take them 10 months to be able to buy their first house. So from going from 3 years living with his dad with their 3 boys to 10 months. Can you imagine how relieved his dad is more than anything? I think I'm sure he'll miss his grandkids. And by the way, he's cut 21 years off of his retirement age. The reason most people do not achieve results like this is because they put it off and they let life happen to them rather than jumping on an opportunity like this and making the life they want to have happen. That is the only difference. So I've got 2 scenarios here to demonstrate the cost of putting this off, the cost of a delay, okay? So we've got Jean on the left and Joanna on the right. They're the exact same age, just for argument's sake. They're both 30 and they want to be able to retire by 60 with 40 grand a year in income, which will require a £1 million portfolio using the 4% rule. Both of them also have the exact same amount of £550 per month that they can invest. Jean is brilliant. She starts today and ends up with £1,050,000 in 30 years' time at the age of 60, giving her an income of £42,000 a year. That's an extra 2 grand a year for more travel and leisure and the things she likes doing, right? Bonus. Joanna, on the other hand, puts it off because now's not a great time, okay? She starts 12 months later, right? Most people who say I'll start later end up leaving in years because life just slips by, doesn't it? But 12 months later, she starts because she realizes how fast time is going. But because she started 12 months later, she ends up with £93,000 less than Jean in retirement. And that means £4,000 less in income per year in retirement. And unfortunately, that doesn't meet her income requirements and means she has to cut back on the travel and the fun that she wanted to have in retirement just so she can cover her obligatory bills, okay? Waiting for the right time is going to leave you worse off by literally tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds, because that gap of £93,000 doesn't grow like that amount every single year. It grows exponentially with compounding, okay? Every year you wait, it grows more and more. These numbers on the screen here assume that you are starting from 0, which most of you are not, so do take it with a grain of salt, but it is a great illustration of how much it costs you to wait, delay, or even the cost of trying to figure it out for yourself, which is always going to take longer and involve more mistakes and costly mistakes, rather than having someone who's already done it do it for you, right? You get the idea. So tell me, are you really too busy to save yourself 93 grand? Like the previous example we saw with Jean and Joanna. How about 250 grand, which is the extra you would have to contribute out of your pocket if you get started in your 50s and 60s rather than your 30s and 40s, okay? You can kind of see, right? We can all agree it's not worth the cost. No one is too busy to save themselves that much money, and waiting for the right time is not an excuse that your future self is going to be happy with when you are the one stuck working into your late 60s and 70s. That's the truth. So here's what we've covered so far. You know that your problems can be fixed and your goals and desires achieved with this system, okay? You've heard from the people who've done it. You've seen the system laid out for you in detail with the outcomes that you can expect to achieve once you complete each and every phase. And you know the power of compounding and compound interest and the importance of getting a custom investment plan and strategy in place sooner rather than later. And you've seen what it's going to cost you if you wait, right? The simple maths is with every month you wait amounts to tens, if not hundreds of thousands you will be short of in retirement or have to contribute extra out of your own pocket later on, if you can even afford to do so, okay? And that's if you don't just get started today. So some of the things we hear from people around this time are, will this work for me, first and foremost? So as you've seen, I've worked with people across all demographics, ages, income ranges, and starting points. Every single one of them are now better off. I've also worked with people who work in the NHS and local government, those in the 100% commission roles, limited company owners and self-employed people as well. All of them are benefiting, okay? No matter where they were at before, all of them now know how to achieve their specific goals and are on the path to achieving them as we speak. It's as simple as that. On the second one, I'm afraid I'll lose money. That's something we hear quite often from people who haven't really dabbled in investing or learned about, compound interest. And look, I totally get it. getting started with investing is daunting. I'm never going to pretend that it's not, because I've been there. But this is why I am so keen on not just providing you with a plan and just a bunch of steps and expecting you to blindly follow it, but actually providing you with the education you need on all of the processes and the investment strategies and processes you can use to achieve your goals, so that you have the confidence and competence you need to actually enact the steps that I give you, that we agree together. Ultimately, when it comes to investing, your money will go down as well as up over time. We know that it's an inherent necessary part of the stock market. If it always went up, well, it just wouldn't, because no one would put money into it. Right? Everyone would do it, and therefore there'd be no risk. So it just wouldn't work. Despite the fact that it does go down as well as up, what we know is that the market has averaged a 10.9% annualized return for the last 80 years. And we use a return estimate of 9% to be safe, as well as factoring in inflation in 2 places within your roadmap to make sure we are intentionally sandbagging it, because I would much rather under promise and over deliver than the other way around. I want you to get to your end goal a bit sooner than we expected rather than a bit later. I think that's just the right thing to do. Now, with that said, another thing we often hear is now's not a great time. For some reason, I don't know, people are crazy. Look, you know how much it's going to cost you to wait. We've been through the numbers. If you're happy to take on that cost, fine. The bottom line is the people who dive in immediately unlock their full financial potential and have their custom roadmap in place within 30 days. That's all I'm going to say. Those who don't slip back into the day-to-day routine, and before they know it, another 2 years have gone by, and they are now 6 figures plus behind on where you could have been had you just started sooner today, right? So take that as you will. And finally, one thing we hear, not too often, but from people who especially have never seen the compound interest calculators or understood investing, is this sounds too good to be true. Now, it's good to be skeptical. I encourage you to do so. But actually, this doesn't sound too good to be true. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme, and we are using government-approved, regulated methods of investing and building wealth over the long term. It takes time, it takes patience and consistency. And if you don't put in the work, you will not get results. I'll be very, very clear with you. It's as simple as that. And look, if I was promising to make you a millionaire tomorrow, and or even like next week, next month, next year, by just clicking some buttons on a screen and then going out for a nice expensive lunch and coming back and making like 10K profit, that's a get rich quick scheme. That is not what this is. Okay. So hopefully, you're seeing that this is consistency, patience, and a proven system applied over many years versus that other nonsense that you've probably heard about online. Okay. So hopefully I've helped you kind of shift your mindset there. So now that you have all of this information, you have 2 options as well, just like I did at the start of my journey, except you've got a little bit of a head start on me. You can take what you've learned today. This is option 1. You can take what you've learned today and attempt to build a comprehensive financial roadmap for your future around everything going on in your life with the existing commitments that you have. Now, if you do, I want to be really, really clear about what that needs to address so that you have any chance of actually succeeding. You're going to need that plan to address your month-to-month finances. You're going to need a proactive money management system and tracking system, which feeds you the information you need on your monthly free cash flow, savings and investment growth, debt progress and net worth impact, a debt elimination planner, if that's applicable for you, sinking fund and account structuring setup for level loading your yearly finances, accurate fine number calculation and iteration schedule, and a tax efficient low fee investment plan and strategy, an ISA bridging strategy, if that's applicable for you, and life insurance strategy, all built around that fine number. And you'll need to link all of this to your current circumstances, because if you're not tying all of the pieces of your specific financial puzzle together with this plan that you're building, then not only will it leave you feeling lost and confused sooner rather than later, but you're also going to miss out on tons of easy wins and optimizations, which mean you miss out on getting many tens of thousands of pounds, if not more, in your retirement accounts at no extra cost to you. And obviously, if you don't get those, that's delaying the progress, it's delaying the results that you could otherwise achieve, and also then pushing back and delaying your freedom in the future. Okay. And time, is valuable. So that's option 1. Option 2 goes without saying, I can help you shortcut the entire process and give you the tools, knowledge, and structured system that's taken me 9 years to develop on day 1 of your journey, along with ongoing accountability. If you do that, you'll have a step-by-step plan tailored to your circumstances in place in about 30 to 60 days. No ambiguity, no guesswork, and no fear of making huge financial mistakes. So how do you actually get my help? At this point, it's time to reveal the gift that I've been harping on at you about, okay? Now, I've intentionally reserved it until this point in the presentation so that only you who are actually committed to achieving your financial goals and have stayed until this point get the opportunity that you are about to receive, because I think, it's fair to say, because you've watched this far, it's safe to assume that you're the kind of people who are not all talk, and that you're actually ready to do what it takes for yourselves and your family and your future. And for the record, what I'm about to share with you is exclusively for the people on this event, because you joined it, and you will not see me promoting this anywhere else. I never have, and I never will. Okay, you ready? I'm giving you the opportunity to get access to the video course element of the Financial Freedom Academy. This is normally sold as an add-on for my one-on-one students only for £1,080, but I'm offering it to you today to help you with everything I've laid out for you during this event tonight. And that's not all. I'm giving you £600 off and lifetime access to the 34 videos and 4 tools that will walk you through exactly what you need to do step by step to secure your finances and set yourself up for a more comfortable and earlier retirement. I'm going to drop the link in the chat right now so that that's in there. I'm also going to share it in the WhatsApp group for those who can't see the chat for some reason. Right, let's get that in there. And like I mentioned at the beginning, I've shared the link in the chat, so grab yours ASAP, because we do only have 20 available, and that the reason for that I'm going to share in a second, and it's really, really important you understand why we've kind of structured it in this way. And obviously we still got over 1,000 people on this call over the 2 platforms that we're hosting this on, right? So the link is in the WhatsApp group as well. And also, by the way, with your lifetime access, you get all future updates at no extra cost. Needless to say, when we first launched this, we had 22 videos and 2 tools. We've now got 34 videos and 4 tools. The price was a lot lower than it is now, and that's based on that £1,080 price tag, right? Because we've added more value to it. Obviously, the price goes up over time. So if you buy it now at this price, you'll lock in all future, renditions of this and improvements and upgrades and additions to the video course, and you never have to pay more. So it's really, really important you understand that. But the reason for this offer, which is the biggest I've ever done on this course and won't be doing again, is that I believe that if you are watching this, then you're serious about achieving similar results to those you've seen me and my clients achieve. And if you want those results, then this is the information and knowledge we use to achieve it. And therefore, it's the information and knowledge you need to achieve similar, okay? And also, like I said, the reason for that only being 20 copies is because each person who invests in the video course will also qualify to book a call with my team where they'll have the opportunity to apply to join the Financial Freedom Academy. But we only have 20 spots available there. All right, we've got 10 more publicly as well, but 20 spots that we've reserved for this. So it didn't make sense to offer more versions of the video course than we had spaces available, because then it just didn't seem fair to you guys. We'd have to turn people away, and that's not what I want. So hopefully you can understand that. The thing I'm really excited to announce though, okay, and we've never done this before, right? So when you do join the Academy, I'm also going to take a huge £2,000 off your enrollment fee for the one-on-one coaching program, where you get 9 months of one-on-one access to me and my coaches, and where you'll have one of us build your entire lifetime financial roadmap for you and with you. Now, this is an exclusive opportunity and a one-off that I've never done and will not be doing again. Hence why we also had to cap the numbers. Okay. So to be clear, that £2,000 off is only for those who purchase a video course. And let me also be clear, whether you end up doing the program or not, either way, you need the video course. You need it if you're doing it with just the video course. If you join the program, you still need the video course. So it's never going to be a wasted investment. Let me just say that. So we've already got 7 people who've already got 7 people who've gone and booked their call. Okay, wow, sorry, my team's just sending me updates. Just get that live. So the video course, right? So whilst you're locking in your space, I want to tell you about what you're actually going to get with this video course. The video course is about as close as you can get to guaranteeing that you'll achieve your goals and become financially free. Obviously, the absolute guarantee is when you work directly with me or one of my coaches, because at that point we become responsible for your results. Whereas if you just do the video course, you're responsible for doing that, right? I think that's fair. Because with the video course, in under 30 days, you will identify and fix your self-sabotaging money habits, freeing up thousands of pounds every single year that you didn't know you had. You will learn how to master and maintain a budget that enables you to build wealth on autopilot. You will learn how to systematically eliminate your debts faster, saving thousands of pounds in interest. You will learn how to build a set and forget investment plan and strategy that leads to an earlier, more comfortable retirement. You will also identify exactly how and when you will hit each of your financial milestones and goals with the step-by-step walkthroughs provided in the course. As you can tell, right, there is a really good reason why nobody who does this fails. It's because you get all the information, right, and the education on the stuff that actually matters, all the fluff removed, all the knowledge and the tools you need without the fluff. You also get a proven, structured step-by-step system to follow, along with the tools that are built to work with that specific system as you work through it. And if you do the one-on-one coaching program, you get someone holding your hand through the whole thing saying, yes, this is the right thing to do here. If we do this now, this is the potential benefit. No, don't do that. Instead of doing that, maybe do this. That's a bad idea. Do this instead. So on and so forth, right? So it, again, removes the guesswork and the ambiguity and the fear of making those mistakes, which for a lot of people is just priceless. So it just removes the guesswork. And by doing so, it helps you avoid the costly mistakes and delays. So another 8. Okay, right. Another 8 have gone. So what does that leave? We had 7, 8. Can't do the quick maths. 5. So already, okay. So while you're finding your way over to the page and locking in your copy, let me share the bonuses you are getting as part of this, which are exclusively for you on this call. These aren't included in the usual video course, which is available on my website. So these are bonuses purely for those of you who are here tonight. So when you get the video course, you're also going to get an immediate upgrade to the full premium version of the Financial Freedom Tracking Tool. Okay, so everything I showed you earlier, plus all of the additional tabs. This is the creme de la creme. There's nothing above this. Okay, this is several levels up from the basic version of the budgeting template you might have. You'll be able to set, track, and achieve all of your financial goals faster and easier than you can ever imagine with this thing. It is a real game changer. Okay, like I said, I've been using this from the beginning of my journey, and I've improved it, and iterated on it for over the last 9 years, and I still use it to this day, and I'm continuing to improve on it as well, which is all the upgrades that I make get added to the course for everyone who's ever bought it. Okay, now lifetime updates are included at no extra cost. Like I said, the return you should expect to see from this, from just using this one tool alone, is about £400 a month. That, after just the first call that we have of our students, is the lowest end of the results of what we get for people from when we're looking at what their free cash flow was before working with us to what we've got it to. It's a £400 a month improvement. Okay, that's the lowest end of the results. The top end is like £6.5 grand, obviously, just based on the household incomes and the people we work with. Some people we work with low income, single income households. Some people we work with are high income, dual income households, right? So you can see why there's a difference there. So even if you're just at the low end, £400 for a single person income household, the lifetime benefit of that is literally tens of that. Because I mean, just in 1 month from this one tool, and do you know what else I'd say actually? This is just from the first tab of this tool, of which there are 8 tabs, okay, in this one tool, of which there are 4. There are 4 tools. In this one tool, there are 8 tabs. And one of those tabs, you'll expect to see a return of £400 a month. So that pays for the entire thing in just 1 month. And in 1 year, it's returned £4,800 potentially, right? In 2 years, 9,600, so on and so forth, right? See, in fact, while we're on it, I'd very much encourage you to log into your course as soon as your email instructions arrive, download the tool and start using it. And that way you'll see a return on your investment within the next few days. And by the way, as you're purchasing and checking out and booking in your call, if your course access email doesn't arrive immediately, check your junk folder. It will say your name, here's access to the video course, and then it will contain the link to log in, okay? If you don't have that link in your inbox or in your junk folder, then it's because you have entered your email incorrectly, in which case you just need to send an email to support@financiallysavvy.co, and they'll be able to help you out. But it will either be in your inbox or in your junk folder unless you've entered your email incorrectly. So go and get that done, log in, download the tool, start using it, and you'll start seeing an immediate benefit on your month-to-month finances, okay? So that's just bonus number 1. You're also going to gain immediate access to the debt elimination walkthrough and debt elimination planning and execution tool. Now, this tool has helped my clients who have debts to save £23,000 in interest on their debts on average. That is not the extreme. That is not the outlier. Like I said, With Neil, we helped him save £110,000 in interest over his lifetime. Okay. The 23,000 is the average. And because of that, they're becoming debt-free 10 years faster. So if you have debt, this piece alone will pay for your investment today like 52 times over. Okay. So that's pretty remarkable. And if you don't have debt, that's cool. You're going to get this anyway, but sorry, they're gone. Okay. Yeah, do that. That's fine. Yeah, 10. Doing, yeah, cool. So congrats to John, Catherine, and Jane. Sorry, I've completely lost my flow there, but they've all gone. So the 10 that we were keeping for, see, Anthony's just taken, it's just come through that Anthony's just taken the last one. So the 10 that we were saving that were people from, like, the people who were coming through from the website and social media and so on, they're not here. You are. So what we're doing is we're not taking in any more leads publicly from the website or social media, and we're offering them to everyone else here now. So those 10 I've been told are now added to the website. Keep refreshing the page because I've been told that it's crashing a bit, and wait until those 10 appear for you, and they should be there now, I'm told. The counter that's telling you how many are left might take a while to refresh, so just don't pay attention to that if it's not making any sense. Just while they catch up with fixing that. Right, what was I saying? The debt tools, right? So if you are, if you don't have debt, that's fine. You're going to be way more interested in the next bonus. Okay, so let me do that, and then I'll give you a quick count to make sure we've still got some left. So with the video course, this is really, really key. Pay attention here. With this video course alone, you're going to unlock everything you need on an educational basis to achieve the success you've been looking for with your investments once and for all. You're going to get immediate access to 11 video modules covering everything you need to know to invest for financial freedom. Okay. This includes, on a fundamental level, what even is investing for those people who need that module. And it's amazing to me how many people say, oh, I don't need that one because I already know, I've been investing for a while, I know what I'm doing. And then I say, well, it's part of the course, kind of tough luck. And then they watch it and they're like, oh, I really wish I'd known this stuff at the start of my journey. So it's really interesting to me that. What is investing on a fundamental level? Investment choices and allocations, so how to actually build your portfolio. Compounding and the power of now. Tax efficient investing, so how to build a tax efficient portfolio. Index fund and ETF investing. Investing mistakes to avoid, the true cost of investment fees, what it takes to pick individual stocks step by step so you know what's involved in that process, how to build, structure, and manage your portfolio, really, really important, how to tolerate, manage, and leverage market volatility, how to calculate your FIRE number, the 4% rule, and more. Okay, I just realized that's 12, not 11, so I need to update that. Now, this is on top of step-by-step video walkthroughs on calculating FIRE number in different ways. So when you get to the end of this, you'll know exactly how much you need to invest first and foremost to achieve your goals every single month, what type of accounts to utilize for tax efficiency, what your allocation percentages should be across your selected asset types, and how to forecast your returns accurately. You're going to be a complete whiz by the time you get to the end of this. Then there's more to help you with the building and ongoing management and balancing of your portfolio, all of which I show you how to do in the course. I'm also giving you access to an additional Excel tool. With this tool, and there's a video module showing you exactly how to use it, what you'll be able to do is set your target allocations and asset types and safety margins. So asset type, you'll say, I want to hold 20% of this one, 40% of this one, and 40% of this one, right? And then what you say is I want to have those allocation percentages plus or minus 5%. And what it will do is if you verge outside of those targets by 5% or more, it will highlight in orange and highlight what you need to therefore stop buying, maybe buy more of, or maybe even sell in order to rebalance your entire portfolio. Again, removes the guesswork, puts an optimal strategy and investment management, like portfolio management system in place. And that means better returns achieved for you and more money in your pocket later in life. It's just win after win after win. And it is amazing to me how many people tell me that they know how to manage a portfolio and that they don't really need my help. And I say, okay, that's great. Like, let's talk about your strategy, see if there's any kind of tips and tricks I can give. Tell me about your buying strategy and your rebalancing strategy. And they're like, sorry, my what? I'm like, you're rebalancing. What do you do and how often do you do it? And they're like, I don't know what you mean. And I'm like, so you call yourself an investor who doesn't need any help and you've never rebalanced a portfolio? That's a red flag for me. So you do this, you'll learn how to do it, and anyone who tells you they're an investor, you can tell them about your rebalancing strategy and really, really impress some of your friends. So that's a nice thing to have as well. Now, the next bonus is brand new. Can I get an update? Okay, there's still 6 remaining of those additional 10. So, right, this one was previously exclusively for the people actually in the academy, but I'm really, really pleased this is the first time I've been able to offer this. You're also going to get access to a safe withdrawal rate risk calculator. So this is another tool that we've added. So what you do with this, once you've determined your FI number and your withdrawal rate, which for everyone is going to be 4%, you can plug your numbers, your specific numbers for your forecasted results at the end of your timeline for when you hit financial freedom into this calculator, and it will give you a percentage statistical likelihood of success for your specific retirement plan. Okay. And this is a game changer. What it's doing is it's looking back over actual market conditions between 1929 and 2022, and it tells you how many times your plan would have succeeded, i.e. never ran out of money, and how many times it would have failed, i.e. ran out of money. And what that means, it does that by basically measuring 30-year windows between 1929 and 2022, and looking at 65 of those 30-year windows to give you a statistical likelihood of success. Basically, it just gives you more peace of mind, because you can think, right, a lot of people know someone who's retired, and I think a lot of the time you can tell that, I speak to a lot of these people, and all of them are going into retirement not really 100% confident that what they have is going to be enough, or that, not 100% certain that they're not going to run out, and they therefore kind of restrict their lifestyle more than they might need to. And it's just not a nice position to be in. They basically spend their whole retirement with anxiety. This removes that entirely, gives you complete peace of mind, complete confidence. And when we think about it, right, confidence is ultimately what encourages you to keep plugging away at your goals, which means higher odds of success. And that means more money in your pocket. Again, right, you can see it's just win after win after win with this. And then this is really, really cool. This is special because I'm emailing out access to a case study article, which again was previously just for my academy students, titled "The 3 Money Murdering Mistakes That No Financial Advisor Would Dare Tell You." It's a really, really bold title. But again, check your junk folder because you don't want to miss this module. The article details the 3 key mistakes that I see people making and have seen people make every single day in the 3 years that I've been helping 350 plus people. And these mistakes are costing them hundreds of thousands of pounds over their investing lifetime of money that they will just never see. And that's the danger of this. It's just money that they didn't know, no one stole it from them. They didn't see it come out of their account, but it's money they won't ever get because they are making these mistakes. And if they stop making them, they can get this money, right? It shows you how to avoid making these mistakes and even how to stop the damage being done to your wealth potential if you've already made one or more of these mistakes and they are already impacting you, okay? Now, really, really important here. You can see on the slides that I've got in front of me, next to each one of just the bonuses that I've provided, the return that you should expect to receive from each one. So let's just do a quick run through, okay? You're already getting £600 off of a course that will enable you to retire around 15 years earlier. That's the average, okay? But let's say that I'm only able to help you retire 5 years earlier. Let's go super, super worst case, right? Right at the low end of the results we've ever got for anyone. Just 5 years of extra freedom that you never have to worry about money with this course. And let's say that each of those years of additional freedom, where money is no longer an issue, is worth just £1,000 to you. I mean, if someone was selling extra years of retirement for £1,000 each, I'd be taking out very, very big bank loans and credit cards. But let's say I only get you 5 years, and each one of those 5 years is worth £1,000. Well, that's £5,000 worth of value just with how much additional retirement I can get you, plus the fact that there's £600 off the course. Then there's the monthly improvement to your expenses today and forevermore of at least £400 a month or thereabouts. That's another £4,800 per year forevermore for as long as you're using it. Then we have the debt modules and tools, which have saved my clients £23,000 in interest in 10 years of their lives, that they won't have to make payments to their debts and can make payments towards their future rather than the bank's profit. Think how good that feels, right? I mean, even ignoring the 10 years of not paying towards your debts anymore, that's £23,000 less in interest. That's £23,000 worth of value. Then there's the modules and tools that you need to build your effective, tax efficient, low fee investment plan and strategy using safe, proven, time tested methods that actually work. I mean, unless you already know how to do that and have all of that in place properly, be honest with yourself, then this is going to earn you hundreds of thousands of pounds, if not more, over your investing lifetime. Okay. The average student on top of that is saving £468,000 in just investment fees alone, working with me using this process instead of an advisor charging a 1.5% management fee. And on average, they're about 1.8, okay, sometimes higher. So in total, we can really add this up, right? Even just using the conservative low end or like the averages that we've seen, we have hundreds, potentially hundreds of thousands of pounds to be gained from this course and these bonuses. And it's £480. So, I mean, I would say, please, if you're sat there thinking, can I afford £480? Or do I want to spend £480? I would say instead of that, I would think, can I afford to carry on without this course, without these tools that I don't have, without this knowledge I don't have, without this process, system, and structure that I don't have, that without which is keeping me feeling stuck in the place which led me to want to join this event in the first place. If I can't do it myself and I need this, it's going to pay for itself multiple times over. So I need another update. And then I'm going to share the last bonus, right? We've got 4 left now. Another one just can't. Okay, right. So, and that's right, I'm not done. I've got one more bonus. This one is really special. I've alluded to this already, but this is for the action takers this evening, okay? With access to the video course, okay? This isn't something you're paying for. This is something we're just adding for you. But when you get the video course, you're going to get an exclusive opportunity to apply for my one-on-one mentorship, okay? So this is to work with me and my coaches inside the full Financial Freedom Academy. I've touched on this here and there, but the Academy is where we will personally guide a select number of individuals each month to accelerate their journey to financial freedom. We work with them for a period of 9 months one-on-one, but I need you to understand why this bonus in particular is so important. I mean, as of right now, right, it kind of goes without saying, the doors to the Academy are closed. We're not working with anyone because we've freed up all of those spots for you guys. And we are intentionally holding off on taking anyone else on so that you get priority consideration to join. Like I said, I want to reward the action takers, and you're the ones that are here showing up tonight and are showing intent, right? But on top of that, I'm offering a massive £2,000 off of your enrollment, which is the biggest money off offer I have ever run and will not be doing again because it's not entirely sustainable. Plus the video course gift price. I mean, that gives you £2,600 off of your enrollment overall. So once you purchase the video course, you'll be invited to book a 45-minute one-on-one call with me, with one of my senior team members. And during that call, we'll ask some questions just to dive deeper into your circumstances, assess if you're a good fit for the Academy, and really if we can actually deliver the level of results we've known for. We're not going to try and get anyone into this who we can't help, right? Because what would be the point? We've got a money back guarantee as well. So if it doesn't work, we'll just be refunding everyone. So it's not the kind of call you're expecting. It's just to understand your circumstances, and see if we can actually help you. Just like we helped Ross, who in the top left there, who had no plan for his retirement at the age of 42, and in the space of 8 weeks has now got a plan in place to retire at 50. Matt, who went from depleting his savings, inheritance as well, with no future plans, to now investing an extra £500 a month and being set to retire at 47. Angelica, who thought she was going to have to work until she was dead, she's now investing an extra $1,400 a month and set to retire at 55. She's also emigrated from Guatemala to Spain, which I helped her to manage financially as well. Juliana, who went from having no goal and no plan and literal financial anxiety to saving an extra $4,500 a month between her and her partner, and now being set to retire at 51. And so on and so on and so on. I could literally stand here all day just reading off case studies and stories, which you can watch on my YouTube and on my Instagram page. So really, if you are serious, genuinely serious about bettering your finances and would like one-on-one help from me and my coaches to support and literally hold your hand through the entire process, you should take this opportunity. Get the video course and the tools, lock in your call, jump on the opportunity to join the Academy with £2,600 off what it's going to cost anyone else. Because if you do, I mean, you could be the next person we interview for our client success videos, right? I mean, not everyone wants to do it. Some people want to stay anonymous. That's absolutely fine. So there's no pressure there. If you want to, you can take part. A lot of people do because they're so happy with their results, though. Just like you heard from Naomi and Neil and so on and so forth, right? Now, we talked earlier about your options. Option one being try and do this all yourself over the next few months and years. Probably it took me years to just get to the point of just being able to get started, right? It'll probably take most people a bit longer than that. And hopefully you don't make too many costly mistakes along the way as well. That's option one. Option two is you get the course and the academy, and that gives you everything you need. And me and my coaches build you your entire lifetime financial roadmap in the space of about 30 to 60 days. And also guarantee as well that you get the level of results that you want. Otherwise, you get your money back plus another £500 from us to say sorry for wasting your time. And I mean that seriously. I sign a contract to that effect, legally binding. So it means you have nothing to lose by giving it a go. Now, what I want to say here is I've been running this program for 3 years. So January just gone. We launched in January 2023. So we just had our birthday. And in that time, we have spoken to a lot of people, as you can imagine, right? And of course, some people after these events do opt to go it alone. They don't get the video course and they don't get the one-on-one help. And they say, I'm just going to try and do this by myself for some crazy reason. In those cases, we always follow up with them 6 months later, just to see how they're getting on, duty of care, just to see, what progress they've made. And this is what we have seen with those who took option one. First and foremost, they just get overwhelmed. It doesn't take long. They've got too many steps, too many choices, too many decisions to make. They don't have the education to do it. So they just don't start, and life and opportunity passes them by. They also don't know what choice to make with the various investment types and platforms and accounts and asset types available to them, which leads to them choosing the wrong one, or maybe just a less optimal version or choice, and therefore paying tens of thousands of fees, or maybe even losing out on returns they could have had if they just knew how to structure their portfolio properly. They're also not educated on how to optimize for tax efficiencies and lose out on therefore tens of thousands more going into their account at no extra cost to them. They also lack the confidence they need to continue investing because something will happen in the market, and because they don't really know what's going on, and they also don't have any help because they decided to do it alone. They don't have anyone to reassure them, to tell them what the right thing to do is in any kind of circumstance, and therefore they just bail, right? It's just what we see time and time again. In the 3 years, and this blows my mind, in the 3 years we've been following up those who took option one, didn't get the video course, didn't get the one-on-one help, we've spoken with over 800 people who actually picked up the phone to us, okay? A mind-blowing 0% have made any progress whatsoever after 6 months of choosing to go early. And it absolutely drives me insane. And you might be thinking, Joe, it's only been 6 months, like cut them some slack, right? But I see the other side, right? Ultimately, these people who didn't do anything, who didn't get the course, didn't get the one-on-one help, and therefore took no action after 6 months because they were just overwhelmed, still didn't know what to do, they are losing out on years of their life that they could have been financially free, and tens, if not hundreds of thousands that they could have had in their investment portfolio later down the road that they now won't have. And I don't want that for you, right? Because I see those who did take the leap with me and joined the full program, had their full roadmap, their full financial roadmap in place in about 30 to 60 days, and were saving thousands more than they thought they could, becoming debt-free faster, saving 23 grand in interest, had an investment plan and strategy in place that had them set to retire years earlier on the passive income we were helping them to build. So the gap between those who didn't invest and those who did is already huge after just 6 months, right? And that gap is growing exponentially every single day because of compounding interest, right? So ask yourself, which side do you want to be on? Genuinely, I mean this, all bullshit aside, which side do you want to be on? The side who are progressing and accumulating wealth every single day with a clear path to financial freedom, or the side with those who are stuck where they've been for years, spinning their wheels, still not making any progress, and therefore going backwards as you continue to fail to unlock your full wealth potential? It's literally a decision that you do need to make tonight, because this is the opportunity, right? It's as simple as that. And please don't mistake like what I'm saying for like being, I don't know, like pushy or something like that, right? This is coming from a place of passion and seeing the difference this makes to people's lives. I've been doing this for 3 years. I've helped over 350 people, and I have people after we've built the roadmap for them who have changed their lives, literally crying because they can't believe the difference that it has made to them. So please don't mistake my belief in this system based on what I have seen for trying to get you to just buy a course. This isn't just a course. This is life-changing material, and there are real people who are getting real future-altering results as a result of this system. And it's because I believe in it that I am this passionate about wanting people to take some form of action. Okay. Now, obviously, we've got a lot more people who want option two, right? Having it all done for you, than we actually have spaces available. And we've still got over 800 people on this call, and only 30 people who will actually be able to obviously get the course and the tools. Now that number's not right on there. And also people who are going to have the opportunity to upgrade to the program. And the reason for that limit goes without saying, right? My team of 2 coaches and I can only take on so many students in a particular period of time. We're never going to overload, because that doesn't do us any help, and it's also going to do a disservice to the people who are paying for our help. So we will only ever take on a certain number of people so that we can guarantee a very high level of service and support. And that's why only those who purchase the video course will get the opportunity to ensure really that we are giving our time to those who really want this, right? You're the people we want to give our time to. Now, it might be that you are unable to get a place if you haven't already. I think we've still got 4 left. You should be able to see the link to grab a copy in the chat if there are any left, though. And I really hope you jump on this and give yourself, and really your family, right, the best chance for the future. And needless to say, I'm really excited to help as many of you as possible. So just make sure you get yours locked in ASAP. All you need to do, click the link in the chat, check out, select a time and date for your call, fill in the brief form, just to give us an understanding of who you are and what you want to do. And that's it. Now, if for any reason you decide not to claim this one-time offer tonight, and you decide to give this a go on your own without the course, knowing the statistical likelihood of that meaning you make no progress after 6 months, it's a sign you're probably not a good fit, because this isn't sinking in. And if we never speak again, that's totally okay. Ultimately, not everyone is built for this, okay? But I would just encourage you to take some form of action, no matter what it is. Just take one step forward today with your finances and do something before it's too late and you find yourself in a place where you can't actually afford to save enough to achieve the retirement lifestyle you wanted, and end up having to make concessions on your quality of life, because that is the reality for a lot of people who leave it too late. And this is why the fastest growing age group in the UK workforce right now is those aged 65 to 75. So if you don't want to be those people who get to age 65 and think, shit, I need to get a job because I hadn't planned, didn't ever get any help, and therefore I don't have enough money to live now. If you don't want to be those people, this is your opportunity to avoid that, okay? I hope this training has been that stepping stone or guidance that you needed, or maybe just a kick up the arse that at least kickstarts your journey in some way, shape, or form, so that you take some form of action today. I'm going to go through the Q&A now and do as many of these questions as I can. Right. So some anonymous attendee has said, can I get all these bonuses? I already paid for the Freedom course, and haven't seen some of the bonus listed there. They're all in there. So the bonuses, the tools are in the tools phase in phase 1. Obviously, basically it follows through in the order in which you need to follow it. So it's not just that there's a bonus section. It's all built in the order in which you need to follow it, but they are all in there. Everyone who purchases from that link tonight gets assigned to the course, which has the bonuses assigned to it. So it is all in there, okay? That answers your question. Minel has asked, do we charge for coaching? Yes, obviously, right. We've got our own bills to pay, as I'm sure everyone else in here doesn't work for free. So yeah, we do charge for the coaching. The cost for the one-on-one program ultimately depends on what level of service you need, the tier of service you need, and so on and so forth. Vivian, I'm answering your question now as well. So could range anything. Obviously, our price structure ranges anything from what you're getting today. So normally £1,080, but it's £480 tonight. Anything from that up to about £7,500. But obviously, you're getting £2,000 off of whatever tier you need. So just bear that in mind. Ultimately, I can't tell you exactly what it's going to be for you, because I don't know you and your circumstances and so on and so forth until you have these calls, which is why we have those calls, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. Right, Omalola, it's a really long question. Let me see if I can help whiz through this. For someone age 60 on a low income, what does retire ASAP actually mean? Yeah, so great question. So depends really. Like people who have come into this who are in their 60s who want to just get an even better plan in place for their retirement, because ultimately you wouldn't be here if you didn't feel like you could be doing something better. We'll go through every single element to see if there's anything we can do to optimize your circumstances to get you to an earlier retirement than you would otherwise have achieved. So if you're starting this kind of process at 60 and maybe you've got a bit behind you, but it's not very optimized, a bit scattered, too many fees, low performance, so on and so forth, we'll do what we can to optimize all of that and bring all of the pieces of your financial puzzle together into a robust plan. And, you know, if you were due to maybe not retire until you were 78 before, and we get you to retirement at 67, then that's still a massive win, right? So that's what that means. what exactly is Autopilot set up? So basically, it's a monthly money management system. Once it's set up, you just rinse and repeat the system each month. It's very hard to describe without actually going through it. And obviously, if I went through this every step of the way, we'd literally be here for about 14 hours. That's how much video content there is in the course. So I can't do that, unfortunately. What products will you? Right, I'm going to answer someone else's question now because you've asked a lot here. I've answered a few of them. So one of them you've asked though is what products will you push? So I don't push any products. Actually, I have intentionally set myself up with my business in a way that ensures I am completely removed from any bias, unlike the traditional financial advising industry, right? They all push products that they earn commissions on. I do not. And that means I can suggest what I genuinely believe to be the best option, the best platform, the best fund, the best debt elimination strategy, the best money management system, the best bank accounts that I believe will actually help that person based on my understanding of their circumstances. Financial advisors, generally speaking, from my experience of talking firsthand with them and people who have worked with them, is that they do not get to know you on a fundamental level like I do about all of your circumstances. What they are interested in is getting as many assets or as much assets under management as they can from you, so your pensions, investments, and so on, so that they can charge their percentage fee on it. Because the more assets they get under management, the more money they make. That's not how I work. One-off fee, never pay me again, and therefore I can offer exactly what I believe to be the best options for you, educate you on different choices and what the benefits and costs would be of each one, and so on and so forth, so that you can make an educated, informed, data-driven decision about what you are going to do with your money. I think that's really, really important. Okay. Right, that answers a lot of questions there. So answered that one already. The cost we answered already. That's fine. Right. Virginia's question: how much time do I have to spend on this? Ultimately, it's one of those things, right? The more time you put into something, generally speaking, the better the results you will get out of it. But I appreciate you've got a life you want to live and you don't want to be looking at a spreadsheet on a Saturday night. That's not what people want to do. And that's exactly, I believe, the system we have built, right? It's going to take a bit of work in the first instance, getting it set up with us, because we're going to have to work with you to get it to a point where it is robust and, relatively automated. And from that point onwards, we're talking, once the roadmap is built, we're talking about 20 to 30 minutes of your time per month to keep on top of it. There is then one action to do per year, which is again maybe about 30 minutes to an hour. That's once a year, but that's because we do all the heavy lifting for you. We get the system built, we get everything optimized, structure in place and sorted so that it's done. From that point onwards, it's just maintenance and keeping it up to date, which, like I said, 30 minutes a month, and then once a year, a task that takes about 30 minutes to an hour. So I hope that answers that question as well. Pooja, struggling to purchase the course, just keep refreshing the page. There are payment plans available as well. So if the 480 price tag is something you need to spread out, there are options there. The longer you spread it out, the more you pay over time. So just bear that in mind as well, just so you are aware. Right. Answered that one as well. So Minel has asked, was it not £300? I don't know if you're maybe talking about the price of the course. So the gift was £300. We were originally only going to take £300 off the price, so from 1,080 down to 780. But we decided to double that and take another 300 off. So we took it from 1,080 down to 480. So that was the £600 gift that you got. Okay. I'm going to do 3 more questions if I can find anything that's different to what I've already answered. Right, as a couple, the finances and spend are intertwined. Does the plan account for this? Lee, yes. So you've got a couple of options. We can do this in a few different ways, and we do this this is literally a daily occurrence for us. There are people who are couples where everything is intertwined, but they want to do the process together, so we get a system in place. And in those circumstances, they either move forwards with a completely combined set of circumstances so we can get things really optimized and structured in a way that's going to benefit both of them and get them both to their end goal sooner rather than later. Because often, 2 incomes is better than 1, 2 heads are better than 1, 2 people, a couple aligned on the goals they want to achieve financially are unstoppable. So that's often the best thing to do. But if they want to keep things separate but still work on the system together, we can also do that. There's quite easy to do. It's just a way of splitting the tool, basically. A little bit of extra work because obviously one's going to have to do theirs and the other one's going to have to do theirs, and then we bring them together. And sometimes we work with people who are just one half of a couple who just want to get a plan in place for their future because maybe their partner's already got a really cushy pension, or maybe they're not too confident in their future together, right? So on and so forth, many reasons, all really respectable. And therefore, we just look at what their half of the household responsibilities are, as well as what their personal, financial obligations are. And then what their income is. And then we just work off of that basis. It's absolutely doable no matter what the circumstances. Quite frankly, guys, I am yet to come across a single person that we have not been able to help significantly, because it's bendable, right? When you've worked with this many people, you know how to make it work for anyone who kind of comes your way after that. Right. A lot of questions around, I'm this age, I'm this age, I'm this age. Will it work for me? Like I said, I've yet to find anyone that it's not helped retire earlier than they otherwise would have. So just a blanket answer is yes. I don't see why it wouldn't, but when you speak to the guys on the phone, they'll be able to work through your exact circumstances and tell you if this is something that will work for you or not. Right, let's go through. If you've got a question, I haven't answered it yet, post it in the Q&A now. Kimberly, are you working with UK tax residents only? No, we've got a few students who are based overseas. We've got a couple of students in Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, the UAE, the US, Ireland, and one of them is in Germany as well at the moment. They are all from the UK, but we have also worked with people who are obviously residents in like Ireland. We've worked with people who are American as well in the US and so on as well. So it's worked for all of those people. If you watch my interviews, you'll see there's people from all over the place on my YouTube. Right. Anonymous attendee, how do we access the bonus gifts? They are already loaded into the course. They are built in to the course at the stage at which you are going to need it. Work from phase 1, module 1, all the way through to the end, and they are all in there, right? So the bonus for the financial freedom tracking tool is in module 1, so phase 1 under the tools module. The debt elimination tool is also in there as well in that tools module. The debt elimination walkthrough for the tool and how to, pay off your debts is in phase 2, I believe, phase 2 or 3, and so on and so forth. So it's already all built into it, right? Just so you are aware, all of the bonuses are already in there. Obviously, the investment phase, all the modules on the investing side of things is basically all in phase 7 and a little bit in phase 6 as well. But it's in there in the order in which you're going to need it as you work through it. Okay, so they are already loaded in. Right, let's go for another question. Right. Stacey, the refund policy is on the website. So if you go to that link, you can read about it there. So yeah, there's a refund policy. Yeah, you can read it all. For basically, it's statutory what you're entitled to. We follow the letter of the law 100% because it's really, really important to do so. Sorry, we're still having people. Yeah, cool. Right. Right, let's say if one doesn't need hand-holding, can we just pay for the spreadsheet and what's the cost? It's tricky, Adejwan, because basically the system is there to be followed in a particular order. And I mean this, every single person who has said to me, oh, I don't need too much hand-holding, is there a way I can have it cheaper, comes in and we realize they actually, when they realize how much is actually involved in this, they realize actually they do need quite a lot of hand-holding. If you watch through every single interview that we have done on my YouTube channel, there's like 15, 16, 17 interviews on there. Every single person, we ask the question, do you feel like you could have done this on your own? And they don't even hesitate. It's like, no. As soon as they see what work goes in and how complex and detailed the roadmap is that I build for them, they're like, yeah, never would have got to that point. And even if they could, they're like, never would have been able to do it as fast on my own. And obviously, time is money. So unfortunately, no, I don't just sell the spreadsheet on its own, because there needs to be also, just as a duty of care to my customers, there needs to be appropriate guidance to go with the video to make sure people use it properly and don't end up making decisions off the back of a tool that they weren't educated about properly that leave them worse off. That would be that would be irresponsible of me. So unfortunately, no, you can't just get the spreadsheet. So anonymous attendee asking, I'm confused by the question. Do you have to pay tax on your return? You're asking me? Yes, I pay tax. If that's what you're asking. I'm not sure I understand the question. If I have difficulties with the modules, do I get access for help, please? So the video course is basically DIY, so you're following it yourself. So obviously, if you get stuck with like technical help, like you have trouble accessing the modules, obviously we will help. But if you're not paying for the one-on-one help, then you don't get one-on-one help. If that's what you're asking. Hopefully that makes sense. I think that's fair. Dean, is the online course everything I teach, but just without your personal help? It's not everything I teach. No, there's a weekly call. Every single week there is another module that we cover, not covered in the video course, for Academy members only. So going into, it could be one of a million things, right? Anything around money management, investing, or ways of making extra money. We go into even more detail or into specific additional modules for Academy members only. So when you get into the one-on-one Academy, there's a call every week or a recording of a call every single week that you've not seen before, where we're going over additional content. So hopefully that makes sense. Someone's asked, how much does the one-on-one help with the discount? It depends on the tier you choose. So the discount will be applied accordingly and the team will be able to help you with that. I signed up. When do I receive the course? Sean, you should get an email straight away saying, Sean, here's access to the video course. Should be in your inbox or your junk or your spam if it's been taken there. So double check both those places. If it's not in either of those places within the space of a couple of minutes, send an email. I'll put it in the chat to support@financial, get my spelling right, financiallysavvy.co. Okay, I spelled that right. Yeah. Email them. If it's not in your inbox and it's not in your junk folder, it means that your email has been entered incorrectly when you typed it in, and therefore it's obviously can't be delivered. So if it's not in your inbox or your junk, they'll send it over to you. Right, let me see. Is there possibility for one-on-one support without the video course? No, either way, Kimberly, you need the video course because it's got the instructions for even down to like the data gathering process for the information I need to be able to help you. That's in there. Plus, if you go for the one-on-one help, you need the video course anyway, and then you also won't get the £2,000 off because obviously that, as we promised everyone on here, I'm a man of my word. That's only for the people who bought the video course. It's just the way to keep everything fair, so that I'm always sticking to my word, so no one can ever tell me I don't. I think it's really, really important to me. I've been doing this. I've been on the online space for 7 years, coming up to 7 years this August. You don't last as long as I have on this with a reputation like I have without being very, very honest and a man of your word, or a woman of your word, either way. So yeah, unfortunately, no, there's not the possibility for one-on-one support without the video course, because it's the educational material. It's all of the tools you're going to need to not only get started, but also track your progress for the plan that I build you along the way. It's got all the calculators in there as well. All the educational resources you're going to need to be able to understand the systems and processes and the theory behind those processes that I'm building your plan around, right? Your roadmap around. So it's really, really important that you have those educational resources and the tools that you're going to need. Without them, I can say, right, you need to do this, and you're going to say, I don't have the tool. And I'm going to say, it's because you didn't buy it. Okay, you need to do this next. What does that mean? Well, you'd know if you bought the course, because it would teach you about how to do that, right? So hopefully that makes sense. They go hand in hand. You can do the course without the one-on-one help. Obviously, it can only take you so far because it won't be able to apply your specific circumstances to particular choices that you need to make, and you're going to need to make those choices without any one-on-one support. but you can't do the video course. So you can't do the one-on-one help without the video course, which is why we're offering it to people before they get the one-on-one help, right? So hopefully that makes sense, Kimberly. Right. Adjuan, does the net worth include life insurance, pension investments as part of the overall net worth as of now, or projected net worth, or both? Net worth is real time. It won't include life insurance because that's not something you get ultimately. If you die, it's not going to impact your net worth. Someone else gets it, so we don't count that. But pensions and investments and so on, yeah. So it's already built into the tool. It's the most accurate way I know of calculating and keeping track of your net worth. And it's a real game changer. It really does give you the ability to measure your, what impact your short-term financial decisions have on your long-term financial health and well-being. Oh, sorry. And then Anonymous Attendee, I'm getting the question now. Do you have to pay tax on your return to the UK, you mean? Depends on your circumstances, depends on how much your assets are from overseas and if you're bringing them to the UK or not. So I would talk to a tax accountant if I were you, and they'll be able to help you with that. I can recommend one if you need one. Have you answered this already? As I may have missed, I'm currently unemployed, looking for work, age 63. Is it worth me doing now or waiting until I'm working again? So Ian, yeah, I'd say, like I said, the only two things you need to benefit from this are an income and the desire for a better financial future. So if you don't have an income right now, then if you've got, savings that we can work with, a regular income, maybe from income protection insurance or something like that we can still work with, or benefits that we can still work with, then yeah, that's still some form of income that we can use. So it would be worth getting started. But if there's zilch, zero, nothing coming in at all, no savings, no nothing, then yeah, you're probably best off waiting, just to be completely open. Right. I've signed up when I received, of course, I've already answered that one. Let me see if there's anything else I can answer. Yvonne, what if you wanted to sign up this evening and didn't have access to £480? Is there an opportunity on the back of a booked call? It depends if you've already got a call booked. I don't see how anyone would have a call if they haven't got the course, because the calls are only available for the people who've got the course. So if you want to sign up, and the £480 isn't possible, obviously there are payment plan options on there, so you can spread it out over 1 to 4 months, I think it is on there. And you could always do like that just for the first month whilst you're waiting for maybe like payday or something, and then pay off the remainder just by sending us an email. We're happy to help you out with that. We won't charge any other fees or anything. That's fine. Just so you can lock in the opportunity. But yeah, I won't be doing a discount this big. Again, I'm not planning to anyway. So that's as honestly as I can answer the question. Hopefully that helped. All right, I'm going to do one more question. Okay. Anonymous, does the pension component cover NHS pensions being defined benefit rather than having a clear pension pot? Yes, I'm glad you asked this question. I've worked with a lot of people in the last kind of year who are in the NHS or were employed by the NHS at some point, and they have their NHS defined benefit pension either in the 2015 scheme or 2008 scheme or 1995 scheme, whatever it is, sometimes across all three or one or two or so on and so forth, and it gets very, very complicated. The most wild thing I've ever come across by doing what I do is when I say to those people, go and ask the NHS pension people for a forecast, for when you will be able to retire, what your income will be from each of the schemes that you're in if there's more than one. And the reply they get often is, we might be able to help with this, but it could take us 3 to 4 months and we may have to charge you for it. And I was like, as someone who's always worked in the private sector, I was like, that is insane. Your employer is going to charge you to tell you what your pension might be in the future so that you have any hope of planning for your retirement. That is disgusting. So what I've developed is a software where I can take people's NHS pension annual benefit statements and, using publicly available information about the NHS pensions, provide those forecasts for them so that they don't have to go through the nightmare of dealing with the people in the NHS. So it's a really, really nice thing to be able to do, because my wife previously worked in the NHS. I think anything that any business can do to help people who work in that area that in the NHS in some way, shape, or form they should do. And this is something I'm really, really pleased to be able to do. So yes, we can factor it in. And again, it's just one of the pieces of your financial puzzle that we can get working in tandem with all the other strategies and systems we can get in place for you, so that we can see when all the lines intersect to provide you with the income you need to enable you to live out the rest of your days without having to work anymore. Okay, so it's really, really powerful for anyone who especially has a defined benefit pension, whether that's LGPS, NHS, so on and so forth. There are some private sector ones as well. Cool. Can you send the link to the course again, please? Of course I can, yes. So I'll pop that in the chat. Oops. Yeah, there you go. Cool. There you go. In the chat, anonymous. Right, one more question that's going to help everyone. So anonymous, you got the receipt of payment for the course, but haven't gotten the link yet. Checked spam and junk. Okay, send an email to support@financiallysavvy.co. We'll see what's going on there. It could take a couple of minutes to arrive, but it will say your name, here's access to the video course, and then we'll have the link in there. Could be just that it hasn't come through yet, but the email for the support is in the chat there if you need it. Okay. Currently taking a sabbatical while undertaking a couple of property projects. I therefore do not have an income, but have some savings. And once these property projects are online, these will then be income generating. Will I be able to go forward on the course or not? Yeah, 100%. If you've got any kind of money to be working with that you feel like you could be putting to work harder for you, or you want to get a robust plan in place for your future, Wayne, then yeah, this can help. It will help. Ultimately, if something comes up where for some reason I'm wrong, because obviously I've got very few details about your specific circumstances, the guys on the phone will say, yeah, probably not worth your time doing this just yet. Ultimately, like, we're in a very fortunate position where there's a lot of demand for this. People really, really need help. So if there are people who we probably can't help so much, or where it's worth waiting, we will tell you. Like, we're not desperate. So it's a really good position to be in. So they'll be able to let you know, Wayne. Question on VCT and EIS keeps getting ignored. Aaron, what was your question? I don't know if I've just not seen it, mate. There are currently 187 questions in here. I'm not going to get through every single one. That's across the two platforms. So post your question again, Aaron, and I will answer it for you. What is your take on VCTs and EIS schemes? Do you mean like employee share incentive schemes? I mean, if yes, I'm sorry, I was waiting for a response. If you mean employee share incentive schemes, then my view on them is that they are often worth it, so long as it's obviously actually a good company. It depends how much the discount is, depends how often you can invest them, depends if there's fees for vesting those, if it's options as well. It depends on the fees for, what the strike price is for those options and so on and so forth. So it's an it depends question. I would need way more detail about the circumstances. To be able to answer that in the detail I would like to do it the justice it needs. But that's where the one-on-one help comes in, right? So I can understand that element in conjunction with all of your financial circumstances as well, to kind of coach you through how to come to a decision yourself based on the data I can show you. Okay. Omalola, when is my next session, please? We haven't got anything planned at the moment. This is the only one that's in the calendar. We don't do these very often at all. So I'd love to be able to give you a date, but I don't have one. I don't even know if we'll be doing another one, to be honest. Right. Sure, and I'm going to ask one last question from you. When can we catch you online again for some reassurance we have made the right decision? I don't know what you mean. I'm always online on like my Instagram, X, and social media pages. And obviously, if you're in the program, I'm contactable in there at all times. So I think that's what you mean. So hopefully that answers that question. Cool. Right. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to go to bed, and thank you all for sticking with me this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love doing these. We don't do them often, like I said, but they are very, very enjoyable. You've seen all of the kind of case studies and feedback we get from all of our students that I've been flicking through on the screen while I've been chatting and I've been going through the questions. Like I said, it's been amazing. I cannot wait to hear how some of your calls are going, and how they go over the next couple of days. And I cannot wait for myself and my other coaches to get the opportunity to work with many of you over the coming days and weeks. Looks like we're down to 3 copies now left. So do lock in if you get a chance. Also, if you've bought and you haven't booked in a call yet, because it was saying it was full or whatever, we have opened more slots on the calendar. So do just refresh that page. And if you need the, basically refresh that page, that calendar page where you saw the booking link. And then you'll be able to book a call. If you close that page now, again, send an email to support@financiallysavvy.co saying that you need a call. And then they'll cross-reference that you've actually made a purchase, and then send you the link to the booking page. Okay, right. Have a great rest of your evening, guys. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to catching up with many of you in the coming days and weeks. Take care.